on westbound 44, still delays between the bridges. Southbound 55, Arsenal down through Bates is bumper to bumper. South 270 from north of Olive down to about Big Bend is slow. After that, it's not so bad. If you're on westbound Highway 70, there's heavy traffic. Kings Highway almost to Lucas Hunt. A couple of spots around the airport through our city to the Blanchett Bridge. After that, you're in better shape. Halls Ferry at Shackleford, or Old Halls Ferry at Shackleford, an injury crash. And westbound 60.
We're more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. We are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyers, an important decision, and should not be based solely on advertising.
News, traffic, and the latest from the world of sports. This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
We do welcome you in. It is time for a brand new week's worth of Rush Hour Sports here on KMOX. No Kevin Wheeler for a couple days. He'll be back on Wednesday. My name is Matt Pauley, back after a week away. Bernie Miklasz is here as well. Hello, Bernie. How are you?
I'm doing all right. And I guess you and I will be working together tomorrow night on the Rush Hour. Yeah,
today and tomorrow. Yeah, certainly so. And it was a very eventful, busy weekend. We'll get into some football, maybe a little bit of hockey before all is said and done. But I was kind of chuckling to myself because, Bernie, last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, last time I was on, we were basically talking about the absolutely meaningless nature of the GM meetings and how everything that they're doing, they could do on a Zoom call. And then I kept reading all the coverage coming out of Las Vegas about all the conversations that Chaim Bloom is having with all the other presidents of baseball operations and GMs across baseball. And this is probably very unique to this year and where the Cardinals are at right now. It's not a wide-ranging thing, but I chuckled at myself because I was very happy to know that Chaim Bloom was able to get face-to-face in a room, in person, with all these people around baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I've been really, really impressed with his energy level and his communication. Like, and again, I know he's new to the job, so why wouldn't he have a lot of energy and why wouldn't he be communicating with everybody? I mean, he's doing his job, but he just brings a whole different feel to the gig. And that's not me taking a shot at John Mozeliak. Whenever there's a regime change, you're looking for differences. Mm-hmm. And Bloom is just relentless, man. He's always texting. He's always on the phone. He's always reaching out to people. He's always having meetings. Like I know this for a fact. Like he'll have a meeting, and he's got someone else waiting in the next room to have a meeting. Like he just goes from one room to the other. I mean, I think his energy is the proverbial breath of fresh air. I'm sorry. I need more coffee, Matt. Thanks.
No, that's I think you're right. And again, this doesn't take a shot at Mo, but you know what? Probably, I don't think Brian Cashman is probably jumping around and bouncing around the way Chaim Bloom is. Like there's just something, and Chaim's not a spring chicken. He's been around for a while. He's been ahead of baseball operations before. It's not like he's a 25-year-old or something like that, but there is energy. I think anytime somebody gets a new gig, there is some energy that goes along with it. And part of the obligation of everybody involved with it at the beginning is to take advantage of that energy that is existing right at the start.
Right. And I like the fact that and to get back to what you originally said, because I always do make fun of the GM meetings, but I will say I failed to take into account, well, wait a minute, as far as from the Cardinals' perspective, it will be kind of lively, and it was. And I personally enjoyed all the reporting that was done by the beat writers and national writers about all the different conversations about different players that Chaim Bloom has had. Now, we're not privy to all that, but it's sort of given us an idea of how we would set, if we were to make a list of like who are the most likely Cardinals to be traded. Just some of the information coming out of those meetings would help us put that list together.
I was going to go here, and I'm glad you brought this up, and this might be something that we have to stretch into the next segment, kind of what do we learn from the reporting? And the reporting is always a secondhand thing, but one of the things is going into this, I thought it was a pretty good possibility that Sonny Gray was going to get traded, but I didn't think it was like a foregone conclusion. man, after I read everything and see everything that's coming out of the GM meetings, it really feels like Sonny Gray getting moved is a uh, big time object that Hein Bloom is going for right now.
There's a lot of teams interested in him, and I do trust the reporting of some of the best national baseball writers, plus Derek Gould at the Post-Dispatch, in terms of relaying the level of interest in Hein Bloom, and that Hein Bloom's getting, in Sonny Gray. I think that's a real thing. And of course it's a real thing because teams, especially the teams that have playoff aspirations, they're always looking for someone they can plug in, like maybe as a number 2 starter, and someone with Sonny Gray's track record. So it makes all the sense in the world that people covet him, but he gets to have the final say. But I think maybe Sonny Gray would like to go somewhere, have a chance to get to a World Series. His contract's going to be up after the end of the season anyway. So, okay, one year of maybe inconvenience with the family during the season. Is that a trade-off? Is it a trade-off for a chance to get compete for a World Series ring? I think he'll decide that, but I have a feeling he would go for that.
It might not even be that much of an inconvenience. If he gets traded to Atlanta, there's not a whole lot of difference from Nashville to St. Louis to Nashville to Atlanta. That he's in the Nashville area. So that is, and he controls whether or not he is willing to be traded to certain teams. So if he knows for a fact that the Braves are in on him and the Cubs are in on him, well, he can sit there and say, I'm not going to accept a trade to the Cubs, but I'm going to accept a trade to the Braves. And then that pushes the Cardinals' hand. At one point, Hein Bloom actually said that, in those type of situations, specifically with Gray and Arenado, I think the term he used was those guys have more of a seat at the table than in other situations. So they get to be part of this. So there should be a lot of transparency on who the Cardinals are talking to and who might be interested.
The only market, and again, this is no revelation, I think everybody generally knows this. I think the only market he'd probably want to avoid is New York. He didn't have a good time when he pitched for the Yankees, and the Mets are kind of a circus as well. I mean, just look at last season, right? So maybe he would take a pass on that. But there's a lot of teams that are going to be hounding Hein Bloom about Sonny Gray, and that's really encouraging for the Cardinals, because I think that he could be parlayed into something the Cardinals really need in terms of doing something about adding young pitching, maybe adding potential young power for their lineup, guys that are close to the major leagues type thing, or established major leaguers, but young and controllable in terms of their contracts.
Yeah, one of the other things that was said, and I'm not trying to push Sonny Gray out the door, and I also I push back so often when people talk about the $35 million that he's owed for the year, $40 million with the buyout, because of how little the Cardinals paid him in year number 1 of the deal. You're just making up of the backside. So I don't feel like he's a $35 million player this year. I feel like he's a $20+ million player plus the 10 or 15 that you didn't pay him 2 years ago. That being said, if you do move them, you get the opportunity to move all or close to all of that money. And if they do want to do something where they're bringing in players on a multiple year deal, somebody that they can get now, but will be here for once this thing starts getting going again, that money coming loose could be helpful in that area.
No doubt about it. And you're right about the $35 million. I've been guilty of not looking at it that way, but you that's good clarity. So I appreciate what you said. Yeah. I mean, they got him for they paid him $10 million in his first year. So, all right, it all evens out. It's still a 3-year deal with $75 million and a $5 million buyout. I mean, that was the entirety of the investment. It really doesn't matter how it's distributed. Good point, Matt Pauley.
Thank you. I bring one of those every once in a while to the table. I'm thinking about the names that were mentioned, and we heard Nolan Gorman's name. We heard Lars Nootbaar's name. We heard a lot of Brendan Donovan's name this past week. We didn't hear a whole lot of Alec Burleson's name. That was a name that I didn't see popped up in a whole lot of coverage. I don't know what that means, but I guess another thing that I would say that coming out of the GM meetings, I feel I didn't think they were likely to trade Gorman. I still don't really think they are, but I'm a little bit more willing to go there. I didn't think there was a chance in the world to trade Nootbaar with the injury issues, but we kept hearing his name, and it does feel like that Burleson's a guy who's probably going to stick around for a while.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals would listen. I should never say this as if it's like the end all be all. Like, no, they can't trade Alec Burleson. That's kind of stupid because if the offer would blow Heim Bloom away, you can trade anybody. That said, Burleson had much better year actually than I just thought while watching it in real time. I mean, I could go into this, but I won't. But he's really coming into his own, and he's hitting for power. And you look at his slugging percentage, career high, but you also put it up against the overall major league slugging percentage. I mean, he's way above average in slugging this past season, and he can hit left-handed pitchers. I mean, and he's getting better defensively, and he'll be under contract through the through the 2028 season or the 29 season. He's got three controllable years. Yeah. 3 controllable years. You know, that there's no reason to trade him. I think he's a really valuable piece, and he fits into what they want to do.
Yeah, I agree. What are your thoughts? Are you on the same page with me where maybe you feel a little bit more like there's a possibility that we could see a Gorman or a Nootbaar get traded just based off some of what we've heard out of GM meetings?
I think Nootbaar for sure, but I put a caveat on that. If in fact other teams are convinced that he will be good to go by the start of 2026, you know, and they're not worried about the sports hernia surgery. No, that's Donovan. Sorry, they're not worried about the double heel surgery. And it sounds like he's making great progress. So we'll wait and see. But I'm not surprised people are interested in him. It seems like a lot of teams are looking for left-handed bats, especially if they can play the outfield. And he could play all 3 spots, although obviously center's not his strength. So it's just a matter of whether teams will try to lowball the Cardinals because they think, well, you know, he'll be okay physically, but we can get him at a lower price because he had the surgery. I don't think Heim Bloom's going to go for that.
Somebody should start an injury podcast about the St. Louis Cardinals, just covering injuries, and call it hernias and heels.
Exactly. And Brendan Donovan, that'll, you know, there's a lot of Cardinals fans, and listen, I'm not making fun of them or criticizing them, but they're just I don't know what kind of percentage we're talking about, but man, they're just really upset by the idea of Donovan being traded. But I'm really sorry if you're in a rebuild situation, even a moderate rebuild. It just makes no sense to keep him unless you were going to give him a long-term contract extension, and I don't see that. In fact, I'm confident they're not going to do that. So what would be the point when you can sell him high now and you have a lot of interest in him? What would be the point of holding on to him? It just doesn't make any sense in terms of the long-term outlook.
That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. You are locked into Rush Hour Sports. We got a lot more coming up. Don't go anywhere right here on KMOX.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original, present
to bumper. Northbound 170 jams approaching 70 up towards Scudder. They cleared the crash to the right shoulder, remains heavy up to Hanley. Westbound Highway 70, Kings Highway headed out through almost to Lucas Hunt. There's a couple of slowdowns west of 170 out through the Rock Road. Both ways between 270 or City are busy, and then right through Highway K westbound after that. Southbound 270 approaching Olive, down through to about Doherty Ferry, and then 44 down to Gravois. That's all heavy. If you're on southbound 55 Arsenal through Bates, there's kind of a slowdown running through there. Westbound 44 are back up through the bridges. Westbound 64 out west, you've got heavy traffic at the Boone Bridge from K most of the way to Winghaven, and then just a couple of slowdowns west of Lake St. Louis. And westbound 64 approaching 158 into Greenmount still have delays. I'm Roger Brand in the Michael's Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyHomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is Rush Hour Sports right here on KMOX alongside of Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. Great to have you with us today as we take you until 6 o'clock. Then I'll take you 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock this evening for Sports Open Line. A reminder, and Bernie, you're going to be part of this, and we just ran a really cool vignette. We're going to have our special KMOX 100-year anniversary. I say show, but it's an all-day thing coming up on Thursday where we are going to honor really the entire 100-year history of KMOX, and there's going to be some really cool things that we're going to be doing on Thursday.
I think it's such a great thing, and I'm so honored that I was invited to participate and be part of it, because I go back a long time with KMOX, but even before anything that I had to do with KMOX, I used to love to listen to KMOX late at night from my parents' house, listening to Cardinals baseball on the West Coast, listening to Blues hockey, Midwest, West Coast. It sounds strange, but I think it's actually a story that a lot of people, sports fans of a certain age, would tell in various regions of the country, listening to KMOX back when, there was a romantic aspect about that, listening to baseball on the radio in terms of like, but yet you live like 1,500 miles away from where the team is. And that's a really cool thing. And it made a real impact on me. So I always had this dreamy outlook on KMOX, like, gosh, what a giant, what a powerhouse, what an institution. The fact that I been able to work for KMOX is ridiculous. I'm not worthy, but I certainly appreciate it.
No, you absolutely are. And of course, we've been the home of the Cardinals for so many of those years, and we're continuing to talk Cardinals baseball. Do you feel like the return, because sometimes when we talk about players the Cardinals are going to trade, and you get crazy opinions that pop out on social media about who the Cardinals might get back for somebody or something like that. And it's just not, if you look at all the trades that have been made in baseball in recent years, it's becoming more and more evident that teams really do not part ways with their top prospects. It's just, that's not something that teams are willing to do. Is it, as we hear all this talk about Brendan Donovan, is there a possibility that as more and more teams are interested in him, there's going to be a way for the price tag to go up a little bit where the return might be better than what we expected when this whole thing got started?
I would think so, especially if we're talking about the big boy teams in terms of payroll, who might be willing to. It's not like he's going to make a lot of money the next couple of years. I didn't mean to imply that. But the big boys with the big payroll, they're also got the loftiest ambitions. They're usually the most aggressive, and maybe they're willing to give up more for Donovan just to beat out another contender who wants him. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out.
And I understand, you alluded to this before the break. Brendan Donovan is a fan favorite. Everybody really appreciates him for the way he plays the game. He plays the way the game, the way he plays is the way I think old school Cardinals fans love. Just, when you romanticize the history of baseball, everything about that is connected to Brendan Donovan. But if you're not realistically going to be winning at a high level before he has a good chance to walk out the door anyways. I don't see why you don't allow him to walk out the door, especially speaking of the proverbial doors. It opens one for J.J. Weatherholt to take over at second base.
That's right. And, the key to trading Donovan now is that the team that wants him, they know they will have him for 2 more full seasons. So if you fool around, not that Chaim Bloom would fool around, but if some people say, well, maybe he'd be good for Weatherholt, maybe keep him around, he's such a good influence and all this stuff. Yeah, that's fine. But if he spends 2026 with the Cardinals and then you go to trade him and he's only got 1 year left before he become a free agent, he simply doesn't have as much value. So, and he's the other thing too, and I'm like you, man. I almost feel bad because it almost seems like I'm a Brendan Donovan critic, and I'm not at all. I love Brendan Donovan, or that I don't appreciate him. I do, but I'm also just really pragmatic. And he's going to be 29 years old next season, so it's not like he's a 26-year-old. He plays so hard and throws his body around so much that I think as time goes on, he's going to be more injury prone. That's exactly what's happened with Tommy Edman. Tommy's always banged up, and Tommy has helped the Dodgers, and Tommy's a 2-time world champion. Tommy Edman, that worked out great for him. But I'm just talking about there's a similarity there in terms of the wear and tear and the effect that increasing age has on two infielders like that who play the game so hard, and they never want to come out of the lineup, and it actually to their own detriment, like last year with Donovan.
Yeah, absolutely. And that we've talked about before. I think that is something that's going to change a little bit as things move forward. But I don't think you can ask Donovan to change the way he plays. Like when he's in the field or when he's in the outfield and he wants to go make a play, I don't think you want that little voice inside saying, well, don't go like you normally go, because that just puts you in a place that nobody wants to be in.
Well, that's right. And so we'll see how Ollie Marmol handles that. And I think there could be, who knows, there could be a philosophical change on that, if depending on some of the guys who are injury prone, who are still here in 2026. We'll have to see about that. But I think it's really interesting because, again, with all due respect to Brendan Donovan, and I do respect him a lot, this isn't like, when the Padres traded or the Nationals traded Juan Soto, or then the Padres. No, he left as a free agent. This isn't like selling Juan Soto to the highest bidder the way that the Nationals did. I mean, Brendan Donovan's a really, really nice player, but if since he came up in 2022, he's, in terms of wins above replacement, which takes into account his defense, he's like 77th among major leaguers. That's good. He's a top 100 player, but that's not a top 25 player,
right?
Who's going to be your franchise piece, and you're going to invest in him because he's young enough to pour a lot of money into. He's not that guy right now.
That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. You are listening to Rush Hour Sports. We'll take a break. We'll come back with you after news and traffic, all coming up right here on KMOX.
Looking for some iced caffeine, left you in the cold. No one knows why brown water costs as much as liquid gold. Told him your name was Brian, why does this cup say Nicole? But then you found paradise in your cup at the Quick Trip today.
At 5:30, this news update is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. We've got 57 degrees. It feels like 51 downtown at the Arch. Half a year ago, a tornado touched down in St. Louis. The road to recovery remains long.
These are some very desperate times.
That's Urban League Vice President James Clark. He tells KMOX they're continuing to provide housing for those whose homes are gone or unlivable.
Over 700 families since the tornado.
Wow.
In local hotels. We are now transitioning many of them back into stable housing.
He says they will soon be announcing a new program to continue helping to support those with long-term needs. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
North Carolina's Democrat governor is weighing in on federal immigration activities in Charlotte.
North Carolina Governor Josh Stein is responding to the start of President Trump's surge in Border Patrol activity in Charlotte.
This is not making us safer. It's stoking fear and dividing our community.
The Trump administration has made the Democratic city its latest focus for an immigration enforcement surge it says will combat crime. Stein says he is not against federal help.
To the CBP, if you know that we have violent criminals in Charlotte who are undocumented, we want them out too.
But he says their actions are the opposite.
We've seen masked, heavily armed agents and paramilitary garb driving unmarked cars, targeting American citizens based on their skin color, racially profiling and picking up random people in parking lots and off of our sidewalks, going after landscapers simply decorating a Christmas tree in someone's front yard.
Stein called on the people in Charlotte to stay peaceful. I'm Ed Donahue.
Consumers and their rising bills.
A new analysis shows that more U.S. consumers are falling behind on their utility bills. Past due balances jumped 9.7% in the second quarter of the year over the same period last year. That's according to the Century Foundation, the left-leaning think tank that did the study. The study comes as President Donald Trump has been promoting the build-out of the AI industry, a sector that uses a lot of electricity. Voters have also said they're worried about the high cost of living. The foundation says 6 million households have utility debt so severe that it will soon be reported to collection agencies. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
An off-duty Alaska Airlines pilot who, while under the influence of psychedelic mushrooms, tried to cut the engines during a flight, gets sentenced in federal court.
A federal judge sentenced Joseph Emerson to time served and 3 years probation for the 2023 incident that forced an emergency landing in Portland. During his September sentencing in state court, passenger Allison Snyder told the judge she and her husband will never be the same.
I have flown with more anxiety since that day, and I will continue to fly because I must, but I will never, ever feel as safe stepping onto an airplane.
Emerson pleaded no contest in state court and guilty in federal court as part of a deal with prosecutors. Heather Roberts for CBS News, Portland, Oregon.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling weather desk for tonight, a few rumbles of thunder and a low 48 degrees. For tomorrow, could have an early shower, otherwise a sunny day and a high of 70. And for Wednesday, the high 61 with a lot of clouds in the sky. Right now, we've got some clouds. It's 57 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Hey, Bernie Miklasz here on behalf of Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin Comfort dealer. Listen, Dan Saliga is the fourth generation owner operator of this proud family business that has set the standard in the St. Louis community for heating and cooling and taking care of their clients and honest service, great professionalism and knowledge and classiness when you're dealing with them, when they're in your home, trying to get you out of a jam. You don't ever have to worry about Saliga Heating and Cooling trying to talk you into something you don't need, or trying to upsell you, or trying to convince you to buy something that really isn't necessary because a lower cost solution would get the job done. You can trust them and you can count on them. And those things are valuable in this modern world, especially the tradition of the Saliga family. Almost 100 years, the same family been taking care of generations of St. Louisans. And the Miklas's are one of them. Take a look at the Priority Club. It's a maintenance plan that's going to save you money by extending the life of your current equipment. There's so much that Saliga can do for you. So to find out more, go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. This Black Friday, enjoy exclusive savings on our high-quality rechargeable hearing aids. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing.
it's not so bad. They're reporting a crash westbound 70 New York City. I see delays, though, from Cypress out to the Rock Road, so it could be at that location. They also have one south 270 south of 370. That one, though, is on the shoulder. Northbound 170, Natural Bridge up through Scudder. Again, we had an earlier crash there. Westbound 70, slow stuff from Kings Highway headed out through Jennings Station. Southbound 55, a little backup just south of M, in addition to the rundown at Bates. And then westbound 64, 158 Midway into Greenmount is still congested. Times are always changing, but Penn Mutual stands the test of time. The 178-year Young Mutual Company is leading the way in life insurance. Ask your independent advisor or go to pennmutual.com/STL. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Rush Hour Sports continues on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Back at it on the Rush Hour Sports right here on KMOX alongside of Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. Great to have you with us. It was an interesting football weekend, Bernie. If it's all right, we'll start a little college football here because Missouri, they were able to come away with a good win, and it feels like the two things that we kind of look at right now in when it comes to Missouri is some of the individual stats, and some of those were pretty gaudy over the weekend, but then also we continue to be on Eli Drinkwitz's watch, and that's connected to Lane Kiffin, and reportedly Kiffin had family members in both Gainesville and Baton Rouge, and Ole Miss wants an answer in the next week, and there could be an uncomfortable conversation about him coaching in the playoff or not. If he ends up leaving, there's a domino effect that hits Drinkwitz, and then we hear Drinkwitz talking about the fact that he wants more of the Fortune 500 companies in Missouri to be supporting the football program. Man, there's a lot going on right now with Missouri football.
There are people like in Columbia who know the situation. They're convinced that Mizzou's going to find a way to keep them. But I would say in the same community, the people that are close to the Mizzou athletic department, there are people who are convinced that he's gone. So what I haven't really written about this or talked about this much lately because we're getting close to Lane Kiffin making a decision. And after that, to your point, everything else will start to fall in place. But Drake has to decide whether he stays here. He's got everything he wants, everything he needs. The administration will make sure that he is accommodated. And listen, it is a whole new world with college football. Greg Sankey was talking, the commissioner was talking over the weekend to the Athletic about how they got to make a push for a 16-team playoff by next season, by 26. And so in that scenario, if you're at Mizzou, you can get to the college football playoff. It's not this impossible climb, right? Look, they lost to Alabama by 3. They lost to Vandy in a squeaker. It's not like, other than the Texas A&M game, which was predictable, it's not like Mizzou has gotten blown out by anybody. No. They're not that far away.
I think it's fair to say they should have won the Alabama game and they should have won the Vanderbilt game.
I agree. Yeah, and I'm with you.
They win those games, they're right there. Now that goes back to the lack of wins against top 25 teams under Eli Drinkwitz, and that's just a fact. It's not me trying to take a shot at the guy.
Right.
Did you kind of tilt your head in a weird way though when he made the comment about the Fortune 500 companies? In like, I don't know what I feel like it's different if you're the head coach at Texas and you're calling out the Fortune 500 companies in that state versus calling out the Fortune 500 companies in the state of Missouri, where the fervor for the program is different. And I'm not trying to put it down, but it's not the same.
Yeah, listen, there's a couple ways to look at that. If we're going to play the parlor game, right? Trying to guess what's Eli going to do, did he drop that reference about it? They need more support financially from the Fortune 500 companies in the state. Did he drop that because he really wants to stay here and he wants to rally them to get busy and to provide more backing? Or did he bring that up because if he leaves, that'll be one of the things that he'll point to? So I don't know what his strategy is. I really don't.
Let me throw out a third option. He's had some backdoor conversations, whether it's through his representation or something else, with some of these other schools, and he started to hear what some of that, what some of the Fortune 500 companies in other states are doing at some of those jobs, and he has started to say, "Well, why can't we have that in Missouri?"
Yeah, that's sure. Eli Drinkwitz is a Southern man, Arkansas, born and raised, coached at Auburn as a low-level assistant for a while, Appalachian State, NC State, right? It's his whole background. Would he be comfortable at Penn State? Because Penn State's waiting for somebody, and he would make it work because he's a charming guy. He can turn on the charm offensive. I think they'd love his energy. I think he would project, a lot more positivity than, James Franklin did, who was really, really uptight. So I don't know. And the Penn State fans that I've been reading, because I've been monitoring things, they seem to be really divided on him. So,
I saw something today. Josh Pate is a big college football guy. He does a really nice job with his stuff. And he mentioned Matt Campbell from Iowa State today. And one of the things he said was, Campbell just will not engage with job openings until his season is over. So that's why we never hear his name. But he mentioned him as being a really good fit at Penn State. And I think that makes sense for everything that we're each saying. I would be more afraid of Florida on behalf of Eli Drinkwitz than I would have for Penn State. I don't look at Penn State and look at Eli Drinkwitz as being a fit there, where I think, like, when I heard Josh Pate today say, Matt Campbell would be a great fit there, I think, yeah, he probably would. So fit matters. We know Brian Kelly was not a fit at LSU. And I guess we can argue if we want to whether or not Brian Kelly's a good coach or not. I don't think he does what he did at Notre Dame. If he's not a good coach, but him walking into LSU was a terrible decision outside of the money that he was paid for it. Fit matters. And Brian Kelly should be a signal to every coach out there to make sure that money isn't the only reason that you make your decision.
Florida fans, I can understand the appeal of Drinkwitz because, number one, for the most part, he's had really, really good offenses, but critics, and sometimes I have been one, sometimes the play calling and the direction gets a little fuzzy to me, but that's okay. He's a good guy offensively. He's also got some sass to him. He's got a little bit of that Steve Spurrier light kind of personality to him. Yeah. He also wears a visor, which I think that plays well in Florida, right? But let me play devil's advocate on something. I'll be quick. Since 2020, and that was Drink's first season in Mizzou, right? Florida's 6-24 against ranked teams, right? 6-24 with all those resources, with all that pedigree, with all those 3 national championships in the fairly recent past. 6-24 against ranked teams. Drink at Mizzou is 7-17 against ranked teams. So if you're a Florida fan, you're like, well, wait a minute. Maybe our platform's better, but can we trust him to win the big games?
You can probably trust him more than the people who have been there already. But I also, man, they're going to do everything they can to get Lane Kiffin. I am just convinced of that. They are going to do everything they can to get Lane Kiffin, and every other domino will start to fall after that. One more break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about the St. Louis Blues as they go on a 5-game road trip trying to figure out how to win games. We'll discuss that in just a moment right here. It's Rush Hour Sports on KMOX.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we still have issues on Highway 270. If you're south on 270, they have multiple right lanes blocked now for this crash just south of 370. So there's a short jam up there. Good news down south, though. The crash we had north 270 near the Sappington Road overpass is cleared. Traffic still slow back near 55, and southbound is slow midway between 44 and Gravois into the area, but it is getting better there at least. Southbound 170 bogs down at Brentwood Boulevard to 64, not bad. Westbound 64 Kings Highway headed out through Big Bend's heavy. It's still slow 94 midway out to Winghaven, but then it sorts itself out. Southbound 55 looks great. Downtown all the way to Jeffco. Downtown, no delays. On the Illinois side, still have some backup. A brief one, though. Westbound 64 through 158. Westbound 70. There's still heavy traffic at the city limits. Coming out through Lindbergh and the Rock Road and through our city, we had a crash reported in the area there. But again, those are just slowdowns. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Show, Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. If you need to sell your home to buy a new one, it's never been more important to have an experienced negotiator that you can trust. You need my friends Mark and Neil Gelman on your side, 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight, Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. And joining us is Dr. Rohina Pani.
Slightly higher, I would say, trend towards men, likely related to the lifestyle risk factors like smoking. But once you have diagnosed a patient with pancreatic cancer, the treatment options and the response to treatment is very similar for both genders.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Just a few minutes left here in this edition of Rush Hour Sports alongside of Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. The Blues are about to go on a 5-game road trip, their first extended road trip really this season. It starts tomorrow when they play Toronto. They're also going to match up against Philadelphia, the Rangers, the Islanders, and the Devils before they eventually come back in about a week and a half or so. Bernie, I'm getting sick of the post-game comments of, guys are down, guys, they need to play harder, they need to try harder, whatever it might be. Like, it's very frustrating to hear those type of words being spoken game after game after game after game, and that's essentially what we're getting right now.
Yeah, and some of those comments Justin Falk made after that team's ridiculous no-show and that awful loss to Vegas, talking about, we're competing like, we're on autopilot, stuff like that. I mean, what a damning thing to say. What a horrible indictment. So they're just a bad team. The chemistry's not right. They got some key players, especially Pavel Buchnevich, who's just awful. Not earning the money, still have the worst save percentage in the league, still have allowed the most goals in the league. I mean, listen, we could go to 9 o'clock and we're not going to do that, talking about all their problems. They got a lot of things wrong with them. They really do.
Yeah. And I think every time something a little bit different happens, you try to hope that's the thing. So right now, the thing they're hoping is that a extended road trip might be the thing that brings the team together,
Right.
Hope in one hand to do something in the other. We know what gets filled up, right? Like I just don't know where to go with that.
And Doug Armstrong, has dropped hints like they're on notice, like he's doing the thing where he's threatening to, trade players if they don't respond. I wonder if there's no response, will Doug Armstrong blow it up? And it's something I did on my video today, and I'll be real quick. I asked, if they're going to blow this roster up, are you gonna give the dynamite to the guy who put the roster together? I mean, at least Bill DeWitt went outside the organization to try to get a fresh mind, fresh presence, fresh ideas to fix it in Chaim Bloom, rather than sticking longer with John Mozeliak.
You and I are going to be back together tomorrow. We're going to hit on that a little bit more tomorrow, on if it does start to go to a point where they're tearing it down, what it might end up looking like. Bernie, good stuff as always. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, good being with you, Matt, as always.
That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. This is Rush Hour Sports. Sports Open Line next here on KMOX.
Hi, I'm Amy Mark Scores. The Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign provides critical social services to over 150,000 St. Louisans in need annually, and you can help. Have just 2 hours? A short volunteer shift as a bell ringer can raise enough money to feed a family of 4 for a week. Support neighbors in need and help the Salvation Army deliver on its. When you give with joy, you help transform lives. Visit registertoring.com.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
Swapping out your tires? There's nothing like it. With eBay, you can find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at prices you'll love. eBay, things people love.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Drury, today, and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120. Visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
At Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, every moment with our patients is a gift. This holiday season, you can be the reason children have hope as they fight serious illness and reach milestones once thought impossible. Your gift provides life-saving care to those who need it most. Please donate today at treeofhope.org and be the reason a child has hope for tomorrow.
KMOX proudly supports the Mutual Awards, returning to Stiefel Theater Saturday, November 22nd. You can be in the audience for this nationally televised event, hosted right here in St. Louis. Named for Stan the Man, the show celebrates the year's greatest moments of sportsmanship and those who embody class and character. Experience the extraordinary moments and people that make the Mutual Awards an event like no other. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we've still got this injury crash in North County, southbound 270, just south of 370. The right lanes, well, yeah, some of the emergency equipment's leaving. The right lanes look like they're still blocked, though. Southbound 270 has a short jam up right as you approach 370 past that crash scene. Then you're good to go all the way down into South County. Now, it looks like we have a new crash northbound 270. This time it's north of the Sappington Road over past lane blockage. It's jammed back south of Tesson Ferry, and there's a little bit of a slowdown southbound in the area there because of it. Southbound 55 is completely cleared out. Westbound 64 still busy from the Science Center, headed out to McCausland. It's slow, and another slow pocket west of K, midway out to Wing Haven. Westbound Highway 70 still have a little delay coming in through the Rock Road. Eastbound through Cypress is slow. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Will we see them finally?
Bipartisan lawmakers want these files in full.
Federal judge strongly criticizes Comey prosecution.
He has concerns about how the grand jury was conducted.
Acting FEMA chief out.
Whose tenure was as brief as it was controversial.
This is the CBS World News Roundup, late edition. I'm Christopher Cruz. A 180 by President Trump after long opposing the release of the Epstein files. He now says Republicans should vote to force the Justice Department to turn them over. CBS's Nicole Killian is on Capitol Hill.
Only a handful of Republicans actually signed on to this discharge petition, but Congressman Massey, who is the Republican co-sponsor of it, has said he believes that 100 House Republicans or more could ultimately vote in favor of this.
The House will likely vote tomorrow on that discharge petition.
I'm Peter King. Danielle Bensky says she expects to see her 17-year-old self when the files are released. 21 years later, she tells CBS's The Takeout she and other survivors need a full accounting of what happened.
Without the transparency, we don't even know what the process to accountability is.
Bensky says it's not a political issue. Her message to Congress and the president:
it is a human issue. It is a moral issue. It is what I would ask my tiny 5-year-old son to do. Just do the right thing.
A federal magistrate judge today ordered the Justice Department to turn over grand jury materials to the indicted former FBI Director James Comey. CBS's Scott McFarland has that.
This is a rare thing. A federal judge ordering grand jury materials handed over to a criminal defendant. But in a 24-page ruling, the judge explained his rationale, saying there's concerns about how the grand jury was conducted, some gaps in time between the handing over of the materials and the handing back of the indictment.
The acting FEMA administrator, David Richardson, has quit. CBS's Nicole Skanga says he'd been on thin ice for some time.
Richardson's resignation was a matter of when, not if. For weeks, there had been rumors circulating that he was due to leave FEMA by the end of hurricane season. Hurricane season ends next week.
Richardson had been criticized for being mostly out of sight in the days after the deadly Texas floods last July that killed at least 136 people. The UN Security Council today approved a U.S. plan for Gaza that authorizes an international stabilization force that would provide security in the territory. The plan envisions a possible future path to an independent Palestinian state. The vote was 13-0, with Russia and China abstaining. Stocks continued their days-long decline today. The Dow closed down almost 1.25%. Now this.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Take the next step forward in your career with great benefits and an award-winning workplace. Apply at careers.progressive.com.
At 6:03, it's a cloudy sky. At the moment, 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. Scrapping the state income tax for Missouri citizens is the top priority for Governor Mike Kehoe during next year's legislative session. He tells a group of reporters that any plan he endorses would be responsible.
It doesn't underfund services, government, police departments, or anything, but also lets them keep more of their money in their pocket. And we think anytime Missourians can keep more of their money, it's a good day for them.
The proposal also expected to gradually phase out Missouri's income tax over a few years' time. The move is opposed by the group, the Missouri Budget Project, which advocates for low-income residents. In a statement, the project says eliminating the income tax would wipe out more than 60% of state revenues and require massive cuts to public services. The 2026 Missouri legislative session starts January 7th. Just over a year after St. Louis voters elected him sheriff, Alfred Montgomery could lose his job permanently. The quo warranto to remove him from office will be held tomorrow as Attorney General Catherine Hanaway seeks to remove the sheriff after Montgomery's attorneys left the door open to him testifying his own defense. Hanaway says they are prepared in case he does.
He has a pretty strong personality and may just want to testify. If he does, we'll be ready.
Montgomery faces 5 counts, including illegally detaining the deputy jail commissioner, having a deputy transport his children to and from school, and failing to transport detainees in need of medical care. If he's found guilty on just one of those counts, he would be removed from office. Part of Mark Twain National Forest in southwest Missouri is on fire. Cody Norris, a U.S. Forest Service spokesman, tells Missourian about 30 U.S. Forest Service firefighters are working to put out the flames along hundreds of acres in the Cassville area.
It's not anywhere near a big city. It's actually a little bit south, or just south of Roaring River State Park. This is all on National Forest Service land, and there's no structures at risk at this point.
The fire is expected to produce smoke visible from the nearby towns and Roaring River State Park for at least a couple of days. The St. Louis-themed clothing brand Arch Apparel has closed its 4th and final brick-and-mortar store. Owner Aaron Park did not mince words, telling the Business Journal that moving to Ballpark Village was, quote, the worst decision of my life. He blamed declining sales on low Cardinals attendance and the developer's failure to generate foot traffic in the off-season. Arch Apparel will continue to sell online. Let's get you right now to Roger Brand and find out how the roads are looking. Roger.
Well, they're not bad except for 270, Michael. We got the crashes both directions, so we have some jams to wrap it up this evening. We've had our second crash of the night, North 270. The earlier one was south of the Sapien Road overpass. It's on the right shoulder, and then there's another one north of there. It looks like maybe the right lane's blocked, so you're jammed approaching Tesson Ferry through Sapien, and it goes about midway up to Gravois on North 270. And then southbound 270, they're still working that earlier crash in the right lane just south of 370. Science Center headed out through Clayton Skinker is slow. After that, though, it looks good in St. Charles County. Westbound 70 still busy. Slowed down Lindbergh out through the Rock Road. We had a crash there earlier, and it's heavy from 270 most of the way to the Blanchette. There's a crash there that's been cleared to the right shoulder. Otherwise, the rest of these highways are wrapping up in good shape. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
Attention veterans and active military. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is giving veterans and active military 10% off all month. That's 10% off all doors, openers, and any service or repair. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Our weather patterns are turning a little more active and still some bounce in temperatures. Lots of clouds around tonight with periods of rain. If you hear a rumble of thunder, don't be surprised. It's a windy and kind of chilly 48 degrees. Tuesday, partly sunny, warmer, 70 degrees on Tuesday afternoon. Still a chance of a spot shower, but basically a lot of dry time on Tuesday. Tuesday night, partly to mostly cloudy, 47. Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy, 61. Now on Wednesday, lots of clouds. That's at night. There'll be a couple of showers around late night, probably after midnight. 50 degrees Thursday, periods of rain and some thunderstorms, 66, and it stays wet Thursday night and into Friday. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
At the moment, 56 degrees. The feels like is 50 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now.
From KMOX Sports.
We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Man, let's go.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Live. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
We do welcome you in. It's Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. Have you for the next 2 hours. We're with you till 8 o'clock this evening, just wrapping up rush hour sports. And now we'll take you till 8 o'clock this evening with Sports Open Line. We got a lot going on the program this evening. In about 10 minutes or so, we're going to talk with our good friend Earl Austin Jr. Of course, you hear him on Slew Bilkins' broadcast. Is Slew Bilkins basketball. They are looking pretty darn good. They had a very solid weekend. It was good to see what they were able to do against a pretty solid Grand Canyon squad. They won by 14, 78 to 64, and now they've got a little bit of time until their next game. They'll get the week, and they'll play on Friday against Purdue Fort Wayne, and then that's going to take them essentially all the way until right around Thanksgiving when they're going to go out to California for an event that goes on out there. So Earl Austin Jr. will give us his thoughts on what he has seen here in the early going from the Billikens. At about 6:35 this hour, we'll talk with another one of our friends, Brian Walton. He is he's the owner and proprietor of thecardinalnation.com. We'll talk to him about maybe what to expect for the Cardinals to bring in during this period of the offseason, where you think that they're likely to bring in some more younger players, some more prospect level players. What is the value for Brendan Donovan? And then also what's these other guys getting to the big leagues. So Brian's going to join us at about 6:35. Next hour, we will talk with Mike Meyer from STL Sports Central. He covers the Blues for them. It is it's not great right now for the Blues. Not great at all. When you've got a veteran guy talking after the game about the team going on autopilot and a loss, that is not what you want to hear at all. And that's what we heard out of Justin Falk after their most recent loss. So we'll talk with Mike Meyer coming up. We'll also hear some of what Jim Montgomery had to say today. He did meet with the media, and we'll play back some of his comments as the Blues are getting set to go on the road, and they're going to be they're going to be on the road for a while. They're going to play 5 games out east. Starts with a game against Toronto tomorrow. Then they'll go to Philadelphia. After that, they'll still have games against the Islanders and the Rangers and the Devils before eventually being able to return home. Starting with baseball, though, we're kind of in a weird period of the calendar where The GM meetings have wrapped up, but we're still a few weeks out from the winter meetings getting underway. Of course, we're coming up on Thanksgiving. There's no rule that says that you can't make moves on Thanksgiving and right around it, but you tend to not see a whole lot of activity around that time. So, I mentioned this with this is how I started Rush Hour Sports, talking with Bernie Miklasz. We were kind of having fun and we were kind of joking around about the fact that the GM meetings seem like something that you could do in an email or seem like something you could do on a Zoom call. And once they took place and I read and I took in all the various reporting, I was really glad the GM meetings took place, because I was glad that Chaim Bloom was able to get in a room with all the various individuals that lead the baseball operations for other teams across Major League Baseball and start to have some conversations about what might be available. And there's been some reporting that in the past, maybe there's been some wishy-washiness or some back and forth feelings from the Cardinals in their communication with other teams about what they were wanting to do. And I don't know how real that is or not. It's not something that I have any insight on. I've read the reporting on it, and bluntly, it doesn't really matter right now if that is if there's truth to it or not. But what does matter is that the Cardinals take this offseason as a way to make their organization that much more healthy. And being a healthier organization doesn't always mean that you're going to win more games the next season. In fact, I don't know what it's going to look like this next season. I'm probably going to feel very similar to this upcoming season that I did this past season, that they're probably a team that is around 500 or so. And that's kind of what they were this past year. They finished below 500, and they didn't win a whole lot of games over the final week or so, especially after they were officially eliminated from postseason contention. But all that being said, what can you do to make your organization healthier this offseason, where when this team is ready to contend at a much higher level, at a division winning level, at a league winning level, and at a World Series winning level, when you're back at that point, do you have the pieces in your organization that you need to make that a reality? And what they do this offseason could, not a guarantee that it will, but could go a long way towards that happening. And again, I realize who I'm talking to. I know there's people who are just tired, who are sick and tired of hearing the talk about trading off major league pieces and bringing in prospects and all of that. And I get it. That's not what you want right now. But I think what you do want is a team that's going to compete at a pretty high level moving forward. And they got to get back to that point. And probably the quickest way to get back to that point is to make some hard, uncomfortable decisions. But there's also some hard, uncomfortable decisions that could result in the team having some nice pieces available, not just for this season, but for years to come. For example, what Bernie and I were talking about last hour when it comes to Sonny Gray. If you do trade Sonny Gray, you are walking away from as much as $40 million, because he's going to make $35 million this upcoming season, plus there's a $5 million buyout if you don't take that final year of his contract. Now, I'm hesitant to believe that another team's going to eat all $40 million for Sonny Gray. Not impossible. The Cardinals probably would have to eat some of that, but the Cardinals paid so little for Gray in his first season, that doesn't bother me if they've got to eat a little bit of that contract. But if all of a sudden, if $20 or $25 million comes off the books, and you're in a position where you can bring in somebody, and they are somebody who's going to be available this upcoming season, but somebody you've got club control on, even if the number's a little bit higher than you might want. Maybe it is a free agent. I don't think they're going to be overly active in free agency, but maybe something does present itself. You might be able to do something a little bit unexpected because that money comes off the books. That's not me trying to push Sonny Gray out the door. I like Sonny Gray a lot. I think he's clearly been the best starting pitcher that the Cardinals have had over the last couple of years, and has given them the best chance to win on any given night that he goes out and pitches. But the reality of the situation is that Gray is likely to get moved this offseason. So if we accept the realities of the situation, how could that benefit the Cardinals? And while there obviously is going to be some long-term benefit to it, is there any short-term benefit to it as well? Not a guarantee, but is there a possibility that it could result in somebody coming in that can contribute this year because they've got years attached to them? Yeah, that is a possibility, and we'll have to wait and see how that's all going to play out. All right, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk Billikens basketball. Our good friend Earl Austin Jr., you hear him working alongside of Bob Ramsey on all the Billikens radio broadcast. We'll hear from Earl coming up in just a moment. This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
This year, we're celebrating a century of St. Louis radio history. 100 years of KMOX. Hi, I'm Randy Carricker, and I've got so many great memories from my time behind the mic, and now we want to hear yours. Open the Odyssey app, find KMOX, and tap the voice message feature to share your favorite KMOX moments. Join us as we celebrate 100 years of the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Thank you, St. Louis, for making Genesis of St. Charles the #1 Genesis dealer in Missouri for 2025. We know your time is valuable. That's why every purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary Genesis service valet. Unlock your e-price and save. That means complimentary vehicle pickup and delivery, plus a loaner vehicle at no additional cost. Or want something new? We'll bring the test drive to you. Visit genesisofstcharles.com during the Genesis Signature event. Based on GMA sales records for 2024. See dealer for details.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. This Black Friday, enjoy exclusive savings on our high-quality rechargeable hearing aids. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and shop Black Friday deals before they're gone at audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. Do you feel stupid for buying a timeshare? Don't. It's not your fault. You were most likely told you could rent it, and it was a great financial investment. And the deal was available today only. If this happened to you, contact your resort or Wesley Financial Group for help today.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-242-3131. 800-242-3131.
This holiday, give the gift that lasts all season long. Cardinals ticket packs are on sale now, starting at 5, 6, and 10 games. All packs include 2026's top games and favorite giveaways. Backed by popular demand, choose from the opening day pack or the bobblehead pack. Check out the Cubs pack, weekend pack, or apparel pack. There's a pack for everyone. Find your perfect gift right now at cardinals.com/tickets.
And that's grounded up the middle. Diving play. Mason Wynn to his feet. He throws. He got him.
Busch Stadium isn't just a ballpark. It's where St. Louis comes alive. It's where every pitch matters and every cheer feels like home. Season tickets put you right at the heart of it all. And now there's a new way to be all in. Introducing 20-game season ticket plans. Get all the season ticket benefits with more flexibility than ever. Don't miss your chance to own your piece of 2026. Learn more at cardinals.com/ticket.
This is Congressman Bob Onder. For 43 days, the left kept the government closed, holding the American people hostage and demanding radical policy changes, including free health care for illegal immigrants. However, thanks to strong Republican leadership, the Senate voted to reopen the government and put America first. I'm thrilled to return to Washington so I can continue to vote to help Missourians, to secure our nation's borders, and to cut wasteful spending. Visit onder.house.gov to find the office closest to you.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
At Hardee's, every Tuesday is now Tender Bender Tuesday. Right now, download the Hardee's app and join My Rewards. Buy 3 hand-breaded chicken tenders, get 3 free. It's Tender Bender BOGO every Tuesday now through June 2026. This Tuesday, get 3 tenders free. Next Tuesday, get them free. The Tuesday after that, you guessed it, free. Buy 3 tenders, get 3 free. Another great benefit for My Rewards members. Only at Hardee's. Registration and app required. Available for limited time at participating restaurants. See app for terms.
This is Mayor Kara Spencer. Congratulations, KMOX, on 100 years of great service to the St. Louis region.
It's Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. KMOX is your home for Pelicans basketball. Bob Ramsey, Earl Austin Jr. always bringing you those games. You'll hear them again coming up on Friday night when they play host to Purdue Fort Wayne over at Chaffetz Arena. Pelicans are coming off a really good 78-64 win against Grand Canyon on Saturday. And with that, we're very happy to welcome on to the program. I just mentioned a moment ago, he is alongside of Bob Ramsey. He is on the Pelican broadcast. He is Earl Austin Jr. Earl, always appreciate you finding some time for us. How are you?
It's my pleasure, man. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. It's great to be able to talk to you. It's great to once again be able to hear you and Ram are doing your thing. How much fun is it right now watching this team? Because they've gone out to a 4-0 start, and they haven't played perfect games. There's certainly been some issues in some of these games, but it seems like every single night something pretty cool is going on, and maybe it's a different individual that's being able to step forward.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun. It's always fun to broadcast Pelican basketball, but this has the makings of being a special team. What I like about it is that they play well together, and they, like we talked about, they have a lot of depth. They go 9 deep, possibly 10 on some nights. Each night is a different guy, but they play hard on both ends of the court. We got guys that can shoot. I think what's most entertaining about it is they play fast. I mean, they play at a breakneck speed. Sometimes the ball may go flying. So if you're sitting in the front row of the band, you may want to have your head on a swivel, pay attention, because that ball could come at you. But they're able to keep 9 guys coming at you in waves and everything. And that's why they've been able to kind of break away from teams normally in that second half. But it's been a treat to watch, just to watch them play. And I think fans will start to pick up on it as the season goes along.
We found out that sophomore guard Amari McCautry is the A10 men's basketball player of the week. Last week averaged 21.5 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. Had 23 against Lindenwood, had 20 against Grand Canyon. It's interesting that I asked you about somebody other than Robbie Avila to start the interview. We'll get to him in a second, but McCautry's obviously had a sensational start to his season.
Yes, he has. You can see him. It started at the end of his freshman year. We had injuries, and it kind of forced him into playing time late in the season. In our last game of the season, our NIT lost to Arkansas State. He had 20 points and 10 rebounds, so it's kind of a good jumping off place. He's come back stronger. His jump shot, look, he's hitting his free throws. He's starting to be a little bit better from the outside, but when it comes to driving to the basket and finishing around the rim, he's as good as anybody. He's got this 7-foot wingspan, and he can finish with the right hand, left hand, and all kinds of different angles. And then he can also defensively can cause problems with that wingspan. At the end of the first half, we were up 5. He scored on a layup, and then when they were going for the last shot, he picked the guy's pocket and went in for a layup, and the lead went from 5 to 9. And he just started. His arrow is always pointing up, and he's just going to continue to get better and better.
Yeah, you talk about finishing and being able to finish in different ways, and that's something that maybe we don't talk about a lot with basketball players, but it's so important that when you're close to the basket, you're able to, no matter how you're being defended, that you're able to get to the basket and finish what you're trying to do. Earl, in all your years doing this, who is the best finisher that you've seen?
The Joker, probably. His touch is just amazing on those little 4 and 5 foot floaters, 8 foot. He gets the rebounds. And it's just, I mean, it's like a surgeon out there how he does it. And it never hits the rim. And and there's other guys that have that. He's like a guy that hits floater shot. But you watch Joker work around that basket, and it's just like turnaround 6 or 7 foot shots around the basket. He seems to never miss those, and those are tough shots. He could be knocked down, banging around, and he just puts them in with just a death touch.
I said we would get to Robbie Avila. Nice start to the season for him. He's scoring in double figures like you expected him to. The rebounds are at a pretty nice place. I think sometimes we expect so much out of him, and because he's such a skilled player, a lot of people downgrade what he did last year. And last year was a really, really solid season for him. What have you seen from him so far? What more can he do? How would you evaluate the 4-game start for him?
Robbie's been very good. First of all, he's been very good defensively. People have been switching out on screens, or we blitz a screen. He's moving his feet. He'll get a block shot here. You get a deflection or a steal. So he's really become more engaged on the defensive end. On the offensive end, he's very efficient. He doesn't have to do everything because we got 9 guys. Last year, he had 2 or 3 times teams could just double off of him, double him up, and force other guys to shoot and kind of make him play in a phone booth. And he still had a really good season. But this year, you can't double him. I mean, if you double, he's going to knock through. Great job trailing the breaks, hitting 3-point shots, hitting pick and pop 3-pointers, and just playing a nice, efficient, smooth game. Because we're playing such a fast game, he kind of bides his time. But we know when it becomes more of a half-court game, he's the guy that you can go and he can go dribble and get a bucket in the post, and he can also pass that ball is very good and just kind of initiate the offense with his great passing ability.
Feels like the schedule was built in a specific way where those first 3 games of the season came fast and furious, all 8 days, 3 games in 8 days. And now essentially the team is playing 1 game a week for a few weeks here, at least leading into that event that's going to be out in California. Is that just the way the schedule is, or is there some benefit to getting some games in quick and then being able to get back onto the practice floor a little bit more as you get into that second group of non-conference games?
Yeah, they came quick, and like you said, for a team that plays fast, you're able to get 4 good games in, and it probably help out that we have about 6, 7 days between these games. A little banged up after this game. Kellen took a shot on a screen, and I think Polo Channel tweaked an ankle a little bit. So having a weekend between games before the 4th range, I think is good. And then it starts to get real once again. When you go to California for 3 big games, obviously that tournament with Santa Clara, a very good team, and then Minnesota, and then a road game to get Florida in their mouth. That's when it really starts to get real a little bit once you chase.
He is Earl Austin Jr. You listen to him alongside of Bob Ramsey for all the Billikens broadcasts. They're going to be back with you on your radio dial coming up on Friday night when the Billikens match up against Purdue-Fort Wayne. That's going to be a 7 o'clock start over at Chaifetz Arena. Earl, we always appreciate you taking the time with us, and hopefully we'll talk to you again very, very soon.
It's my pleasure, man. Always good talking with you.
Awesome. Very good. That's Earl Austin Jr. joining us on the show. And, man, I'll tell you what, it's that game against Grand Canyon that's one that I think you feel really, really good about. And to do what they've done in the last couple games, because I think those first 2 games, and look, it's the first 2 games of the season. Of course, there's going to be some red flags, but you come out of those first 2 games of the season against Southeast Missouri and Chicago State, and it felt like the narratives after those games were actually more negative than positive about some of the things that the team did not do as well as Coach Schertz would have liked them to have done. And then you get to a Lindenwood matchup, a week ago today, and they took care of business very easily in that one, putting up 109 points. At that point, they put up 108 and 109 points in back-to-back games, respectively. And then you bring in a Grand Canyon team, which is expected to be pretty good this year, and you really play well. You really play well in that game. You win by 14, pretty consistent in terms of getting out to a good lead at halftime and then holding on to that lead over the course of the second half, and just the various players that we're seeing coming into their own. And I mentioned Amari McCautry because he was named the Conference Player of the Week, and rightfully so. But there were a lot of players who you look up and down the box score, and when you get one of those nights where 2 or 3 guys can be well into double figures, 15 to 20 points, the way it was against, so you had 2 guys in that number against Grand Canyon with McCautry and Avila. But then when you get a gaggle of guys who are scoring between 6 and 8 points, that's where all of a sudden it becomes such a hard offense to defend against, because, yeah, there are the guys that are beating you consistently, but when you really focus in on them, there's a bunch of other guys that can go out and score. In that game against Grand Canyon, SLU had 6 guys scoring between 6 and 8 points. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but I can't overstate just the power of having a deep bench, or not even a deep bench, but just the depth of your team where you can get a whole bunch of guys contributing at that sort of level, because then defenses aren't able to just focus in on 1 or 2 guys. And if that can continue on, and if those numbers can even go up a little bit more every once in a while, that's going to go a long way towards this team putting together a very solid season. Still really early. Have not been overly tested. If we're going to say that Grand Canyon is the best team that they've played, then they'd like to test themselves more. But that's going to happen. And they did have the exhibition against Bradley, and they had the closed door exhibition against Iowa. And they're going to see either Minnesota or Stanford coming up at that event in California. So they're going to see some good teams here moving forward. But they're in a very good place right now. We are going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk with our friend Brian Walton from thecardinalnation.com, and we'll hear from him on what he thinks about some of the young players coming up, and also how much more can the Cardinals augment their minor league system with some potential moves here during the offseason. We'll talk with Brian about all of that coming up in just a moment, as you are locked into a Gray Bar Sports Open on KMOX.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original, present 100 years of KMOX.
With great sadness that we report that earlier this evening, a plane believed to be carrying Governor Bill Carnahan went down in Jefferson County. There were no survivors.
There, when St. Louis mourned.
I remember I was at home. The news day was over for me when I got the call. It was a rainy night. That the governor's plane at first was missing in a thunderstorm.
The most difficult, time-consuming, and emotional thing I've covered in my life.
He served the people of Missouri with dignity and honor for more than 4 decades. And all of Missouri will remember him for his dedication to public service.
There for every headline, every heartbreak, every heartbeat. KMOX. The voice of St. Louis. Brought to you by St. Louis Public Library. St. Louis's original search engine.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
New tax resolution firms are popping up every day with high-paid celebrity endorsers, advertising ridiculous claims in their TV ads. That's why they have the tiny, unreadable disclaimers at the bottom of the screen. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. Our ads never have those ridiculous, fast-talking, tiny disclaimers at the end because, simply put, there are no guarantees when it comes to the IRS and wiping out tax bills. And we don't make promises we can't keep. Of course, there are ways the Lance Drury Law Firm can help resolve your tax debt, but no company can guarantee it will eliminate it. This is why their clients call the Lance Drury Law Firm when those promises don't pan out. If you have tax problems, you have legal problems, call me, Lance Drury in St. Louis at 314-260-6120 or visit Lance, DRURY law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3 3-day kitchen and bath. It's all about time.
3 days or less
at 3-day kitchen and bath.
Do you love your house and hate the thought of assisted living? Whether you're caring for a loved one in your home right now or planning to live independently in the years ahead, call 3-Day Kitchen and Bath. They can completely remodel your old bathroom in just 3 days and back up their work with a 100% satisfaction guarantee on both their quality and craftsmanship. If all you need is a new walk-in tub or easy entry shower to make your life easier, they could do just that for you. Avoid the hassle and stress of remodeling. Check them out on the web at 3daykitchen.com or call 3-Day Kitchen and Bath for your free design consultation today. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath. It's about time.
It's about time.
3 days or less
at 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Friday night, it's men's Billikens basketball as they face Purdue Fort Wayne. Pre-game 6:45, tip at 7 on your home for Billikens basketball. 104.1 FM KMOX.
Back at it on KMOX, it is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. The GM meetings are now officially in the rearview mirror. The winter meetings right around the corner. A lot of things to talk about, Cardinals baseball related and also Cardinals prospects related. And to talk through much of that, we're happy to once again bring on to the show Brian Walton. He is the owner at the CardinalNation.com. Does just an amazing job covering Cardinals prospects and Cardinals minor leagues. And we always enjoy talking with Brian, not just about the prospects, but about the team in general. Follow him on Twitter at B_Walton. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Pleasure to be on again, Matt.
So, let's, I guess the question that the number one question that Cardinals fans have right now is sort of a lot of timeline questions. When are guys going to get here? And we can go over some of those, but just from a very general standpoint, Brian, do you expect to see a lot of like high level players making their major league debuts with the Cardinals this upcoming season?
Well, it's interesting, Matt. You know, I think the number may be smaller than we expect, but part of that is because the Cardinals added 3 players to the 40-man roster late in the season who would need to be protected for the Rule 5 draft anyway, and that deadline's coming tomorrow, by the way. And that's outfielder Nathan Church, who spent about the last 6 weeks with St. Louis, I think, catcher Jimmy Crooks, and infielder Cesar Prieto. So those guys are guys that were regulars with Memphis this last year, but they've already made their major league debut. Now, the guy that's probably on the cusp the most, in which there's the biggest questions about after the most obvious, J.J. Weatherholt, is pitcher Quinn Matthews, a left-hander who, had we had this conversation 12 months ago, I would have said that I thought Matthews would be on a McGreevy kind of trajectory. And what that meant was that he was going to pitch lights out early on for Memphis and push his way into St. Louis by the middle of the year. That didn't happen because Quinn Matthews had some shoulder issues, his velocity ticked down, and he had some trouble with his control. But I think, given the need of pitching that St. Louis has, there's going to be a lot of attention on Quinn Matthews as to his readiness or not readiness to make that final step.
I know Matthews not getting to the big leagues this year was largely connected to, as you alluded to, his injuries, but it's not the worst thing in the world that a year following him going through 4 different levels of the minor league organization for him to get a little bit more time at AAA before getting the big leagues. It feels like that's something that can potentially pay out some dividends.
Well, we'll have to see. Certainly his 2024 was exceptional in every way. Not only did he play into 4 levels, as you mentioned, but he also led the entire minor leagues, all 30 organizations in strikeouts. And he wasn't able to replicate that in 2025. But, Quinn Matthews is still young. I mean, this is going to be his 3rd full professional year. So there's a lot of runway ahead of him as he sort of remakes himself here going forward. The other guy that I wanted to mention was an interesting ad that the Cardinals made to the 40-man roster. A young man named Brian Torres, and he's really not that young. He's 27 years old. Started off in the Reds organization, won 2 batting titles in independent ball, has been very successful, been an MVP in the Puerto Rican Winter League, and continues to hit 300 every year. Led the International League, which is 20 teams, in on-base percentage at .441 this last year. And the Cardinals didn't want Brian Torres to get away
as a minor league free agent. So they placed him on the 40-man roster as well, and he can play second base as well as all over in the outfield. So it gives the Cardinals another guy to put in the mix as they figure out which guys they're going to keep and which guys they're going to trade away, and potentially even non-tender. The non-tender deadline is coming on Friday, and of course that's when the team decides whether they want to issue a contract to the players with less than 6 years of experience that are arbitration eligible.
Are you expecting any somewhat shocking names being, made available in the Rule 5 or not being tendered a contract? Is this something where Chaim Bloom comes in and maybe there's some guys who have been key parts of this organization or people that we thought were going to be eventually in the big leagues who all of a sudden are given the opportunity to go somewhere else?
Well, I saw one member of the local media throw out the idea, would Lars Nootbaar be non-tendered? I think that's ridiculous. I think Nootbaar has tremendous value. But, relievers are fairly fundable, I have to say, Matt. And you look at a John King, for example, and a Jorge Alcala, who the Cardinals got in, from Boston. And those guys are guys that are, eligible for arbitration. So they're going to make some money, a few $1 million, and could probably be replaced by minimum wage guys off the free agent market. So I think the bullpen is probably the place if there were any non-tenders to be. But the most immediate question is, which guys are going to add to the 40-man roster tomorrow on Tuesday, because they have 3 openings and they have at least 9 players that I see as candidates for those 3 spots.
How much of it is playing the game of making sure you keep the guys that you want to stay in the organization versus also gambling a little bit that a player would not be potentially selected in the Rule 5?
It's not only that, Matt, that they wouldn't potentially not be selected, but the angle that even if they are selected, do they have enough experience and capability to stay on a major league roster the entire 2026 season? Because if a player picked in the Rule 5 does not stick with his team, then he has to be offered back to his prior team. And if his prior team doesn't want him, he has to be put on waivers. So not only do the Cardinals, because of the 9 players I mentioned that are Rule 5 candidates, only 2 of them have any AAA experience. And so another club's got to look and say, hey, is a Bryson Motts, was exceptional at AA, can we hide him at the back of our bullpen for all of 2026 until he gets up to major league capability? Because it's a question mark. Guys never thrown at AAA. Or a hitter like Blaze Jordan, who the Cardinals picked up from Boston. There's only a 4-man bench now in baseball because from the position player side because of the designated hitter. So you can't really stash a hitter very, very well unless he shows he's ready for the majors. And Blaze Jordan, showed good power when he came over in the final month of the season, but did not hit for average at all. Needs some more time.
There's every publication out there does their own rankings and overall, like Fangraphs recently made the Cardinals their number 1 farm system. As somebody like you who covers the prospect level so much, how much, and part of this is connected to the fact that they've had 2 really high draft picks, and J.J. Weatherholt and Liam Doyle are in the organization. So that's going to help the overall ranking of it. But what have you noticed in terms of what the Cardinals have been able to do in the last year plus in terms of really bringing in more talent into the organization and having more available in the minor leagues?
The Fangraphs algorithm is really interesting because they did it more scientifically, I'll say, than most of the other rankings. And that's not to say that the organization rankings that come out from MLB Pipeline or Baseball America aren't good as well. But what Fangraphs did was they took every player in the minor league system and said, what's his potential value? What's his best case? What's his ceiling? And they assigned a dollar value to that. And the Cardinals did it. They ranked number 1, both based on quality, but also quantity. And that's something the Cardinals have done very well for a long time. And that's churned out large number of players, especially players that weren't drafted, in the first few rounds of the draft, guys like Donovan and Nootbaar all. So typically the way that farm systems are ranked is by the number of sheer high-end products. How many guys are in the national top 100? I don't think the Cardinals are the number 1 system in baseball, frankly, but I think they're a lot better than 20-ish, which is where they were a year ago. I think they're probably going to come in certainly in the top half this year, and but that'll change as soon as J.J. Weatherholt graduates to the major leagues. Then you've got to look at Liam Doyle and some of the other guys that were drafted in 2025 that need to step up when they get their full opportunity here come April.
And the other side of that too is the trades that can potentially be made this offseason. You would think that more prospect level players would come into the organization. Do you feel like this is as they continue to try to prepare themselves for being an organization that can compete at the highest level, but do it with their own guys and always have individuals available? How important is this offseason and this cycle where it is clearly known that there's a lot of players that are available via trade?
Yeah, no, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, and that is that the Cardinals aren't going to give up a Brendan Donovan for a bunch of questionable guys. They're going to look for young talents that are not assured, because nobody's assured to be a major leaguer, but look for some talent that they believe can help them in the near term, and I'm talking about in the next few years, next couple of years. And that's probably most on the pitching side, although the Cardinals certainly drafted heavy toward pitching in their 2025 draft. But, you look at the major league rotation now, even with Sonny Gray here, and he may or may not be here, you've just got McGreevy, Palante, and Liberatore, and a lot of question marks. And the guys that would backfill them from Memphis are guys that were injured. We talked about Matthew already. Roby missed a lot of time. Tank Hentz, we don't know. Cooper Jerpy missed the whole year. So there isn't a backlog of quality candidates that are healthy at the highest levels of the system ready to help St. Louis.
Pretty remarkable. The three names that you just mentioned with Hintz and Roby and Jerpy, like three guys that you can see as being big time impact individuals at the major league level, but three guys that really have a hard time staying healthy. And it felt like Roby had maybe turned a corner before he dealt with his last injury, but it's so frustrating when those names are the ones that are connected to injuries, and you just know that if they ever find a way to health, they've got that chance to be pretty special.
Yeah, Takora Roby especially was exceptional this season. I mean, he demonstrated his capability at AA, got moved up to AAA, was off to a nice start, then had to go have Tommy John. And it's not something that's chronic. It's something that's fairly common with pitchers. But you lose a whole year, and a year is a big deal for a prospect and for an organization that needs help. Tank Hentz, on the other hand, got put on the AAA roster to begin the season, but I was at the last game he pitched. He pitched one inning on March 11th in an exhibition game and had to come out. And he didn't pitch again for a long time, went to Springfield, eventually lost for the season. So Tank Hentz is a guy that probably the Cardinals are going to have to make a reliever at some point just to get him to the major leagues, because this is his second year on the 40-man roster and he hasn't thrown a pitch at AAA. And Tank Hentz, of course, was drafted in that same high school class as Jordan Walker and Mason Wynn. And those guys, of course, have been in the major leagues for multiple years. So, they've got a decision to make with Tank Hentz when he's healthy, how they're going to try to find a way to get him to the major leagues, because he just hasn't shown the durability in the minor leagues to be a 6-inning starter in the major leagues.
He is Brian Walton. Brian, give a plug. I know you along with Kyle Reese just started the countdown doing the prospect reviews and prospect profiles. Let our listeners know all about that and everything that you're doing over at the Cardinal Nation.
Yeah, this is the time of year where we get started on our 2026 Cardinals prospect list, and we rank 50 prospects and a number of others who didn't quite make the top 50, but that we like their talent or think they might be breakout candidates. And Kyle and I prepared our list separately and then averaged them together, and that's how we came up with the system ranking. And then each day we'll have an article talking about that player. Number 50 appeared today on Monday, of course 49 tomorrow, all the way through the new year. And then some more articles that follow that sort of look at things like the top prospects of each position and guys who moved up a lot from last year, that kind of thing will take us all the way up to winter warm-up. And some of these articles are free, so folks can get a view of but a lot of them are for subscribers to the Cardinal Nation. That's how we make our business. But I think you'll see Kyle Reese's scouting reports on these players are excellent. They're right to the point. They get to what they need to do to ultimately make the major leagues.
Very good. He is Brian Walton. Again, the CardinalNation.com is where you check out all of their really, really, really good content. The depth that they go into is you're not going to find it anywhere else. It's fantastic. Again, the CardinalNation.com, and follow Brian on Twitter at @B_Walton. Brian, thank you so much for your time. We'll do this again real soon.
You got it.
All right, very good. That's Brian Walton joining us here on the program. If you want to chime in on anything, you can do so. 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call or text. You can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. Or for those of you who are watching on the video stream, you can leave a comment, and we can get into some of those as we go along as well. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 1 of the show. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
What's up, Missouri? Tony Gonzalez here. I've spent a lot of Sundays right here playing in front of the best fans in football. And now it's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. It's America's top-rated sportsbook app. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day, December 1st.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code KMOX. New Missouri customers, sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code KMOX. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
This holiday season, the Dave Glover Show is excited to partner with Hardee's and Operation Food Search for the Holiday Food Drive. While supplies last, stop by any metro area Hardee's and make a donation of at least $1 to benefit Operation Food Search and receive a limited edition DGS holiday sticker. All donations will benefit Operation Food Search to help children and families facing food insecurities. Get all the details about the campaign or to make an online donation, head to KMOX.com/events.
SNL Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call SNL. 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. SNL Coin.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/life.
Welcome to Coffee House. How are you today?
Hi, great, thanks. May I get a sea salt caramel latte with almond milk, extra caramel, extra shot, iced,
Gross.
and to go, please. Did you get all that?
No, I was just ringing you up for all the extras. Can you repeat your order, please?
Oh, never mind. I'm just going to go.
Stop paying extra for extras. Get fancy coffee without the fancy coffee price at Quick Trip. Raise your coffee bar.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech.
Smart ring maker Oura has shifted its image from focusing on performance tracking to women's health, with the Finnish company saying that young women make up its fastest growing user group, and they're focused on sleep, mental balance, and cycle tracking. Oura is now adding fertility and perimenopause features, and the Oura Ring 4 ceramic allows users to track up to 50 biomarkers, followed up with AI suggestions. I'm Jason Brooks.
Are you tired of online threats? Then get an antivirus. It's the only online protection you will ever need.
Disclaimer, an antivirus is just half protection online. It will not protect you from snoopers or encrypt your online traffic. So this Black Friday, get better online protection with NordVPN. NordVPN will encrypt your traffic, protect you from malware and phishing, and stop annoying ads. Get the NordVPN Black Friday deal with 73% off and enjoy 3 extra months.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Starting to wrap up hour number 1 of the program. In hour number 2, we are going to talk with Mike Meyer from STL Sports Central. We'll talk St. Louis Blues hockey with him. We'll do a lot of Blues in the second hour. We'll hear a little bit from Jim Montgomery as well as the Blues get set to go on a pretty lengthy road trip that's going to begin tomorrow in Toronto. Wanted to mention Mizzou football real quickly. First off, impressive win against Mississippi State on Saturday, 49-27. I think Mississippi State's better than that 1-6 SEC record would indicate. That's not a bad football team. Ahmad Hardy just could not be stopped. I mean, for him to go get 300 yards and average 12 yards per carry. Now, having a 72-yard run and all that certainly helps, but that was, that was quite the performance for sure from Ahmad Hardy. A lot of Mizzou fans, though, are so much focused on looking around. This is going to be an interesting week when it comes to that because it feels like the Lane Kiffin situation might finalize itself a bit. I saw the report today, it may have been On 3 that reported this, that Kiffin has family members going to both Gainesville and Baton Rouge this week. And I guess, I don't know, I assume most of them have been to those places. I don't know how much interaction there might actually be with university administration officials. And Ole Miss evidently wants some sort of resolution as to whether or not Kiffin intends to stick around over the next week. And if he doesn't intend to stick around, that could make things interesting for, does he walk out the door before they go to the college football playoff? Could you imagine that? A coach getting his team to the college football playoff and then not coaching in the college football playoff because they take a job in the same league. That's unprecedented times right now in college athletics, but that seems like something that could happen. And I think that Florida thing, especially for Kiffin, could impact Drinkwitz. So let's just see how this Kiffin thing plays out over the next few days. This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
This month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight, Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month, Dr. Rohina Pani.
One thing that's important to remember is if you're concerned and you identify some family history, which typically means first-degree relatives and other risk factors for this disease, talk to your doctor about your family history, and they can then refer you to centers that specialize in those screening programs like Siteman Cancer Center.
Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better, because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. The voice of St. Louis.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Christopher Cruz in Washington. A smackdown of the DOJ today by a federal magistrate judge overseeing a criminal case against indicted former FBI Director James Comey. The judge ordered prosecutors to produce all of the grand jury materials from the case. CBS's Cammie McCormick has details.
The judge in the case cited a number of problems, from a misstatement of the law by the prosecutor to the grand jury that indicted Comey to the use of potentially privileged communications in the investigation. The judge called it a disturbing pattern. It's the most blistering assessment yet by a judge of the criminal case against Comey. There have already been multiple challenges, including that the case is a vindictive prosecution.
A dramatic day ahead in the U.S. House. CBS's Erica Brown has that.
Amid growing calls from lawmakers, including Republicans, the House is expected to vote Tuesday on a measure compelling the Justice Department to release all its files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Let's rip the Band-Aid off and get it done.
In a reversal, President Trump is now pushing for the release of the files.
The Senate would have to approve the bill, and President Trump has said he will sign it. With flu season underway, a major medical organization is recommending flu shots for adults 18 and up, and it isn't getting any help for getting the word out from the CDC.
The American College of Physicians recommends the standard vaccine for 18 to 64-year-olds and a higher dose vaccine for older people. But unlike previous years, the group did not work with the Centers for Disease Control. ACP President Dr. Jason Goldman.
This current vaccine committee that Secretary Kennedy created is not in accord with standard process or how things should be done.
Goldman says it's way too early to gauge the vaccine's effectiveness, but getting it reduces the chance of serious cases, hospitalizations, and possibly death. Peter King, CBS News.
The Trump administration is suing California over a new state law that bars federal agents from concealing their identity. CBS's Nydia Cavazos reports from Los Angeles.
The Trump administration is saying that California is discriminating against its federal agents, and they will also not be complying with this new California law.
There's been a major drug bust in Douglas County, Colorado. 1.7 million counterfeit fentanyl pills, 12 kilograms of fentanyl powder, and more than 2 pounds of methamphetamines. The DEA's David Oleski.
This marks the largest ever single seizure of fentanyl in the state of Colorado, and the 6th largest ever in the United States.
The drugs were found in a storage unit. The Dow closed down almost 1.25% today. The Nasdaq and S&P 500 both closed down almost 1%. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At 7:03, it's a cloudy sky. Right now, we've got 55 degrees downtown at the Arch. The feels like is 48. Fire is spreading along hundreds of acres of Mark Twain National Forest in southwest Missouri. Cody Norris, a U.S. Forest Service spokesman, says firefighters hope to have the flames out sometime tomorrow afternoon in the Cassville area.
You know, anyone who lives in that area knows it's hilly and curvy roads, so please drive slow through that area. If you encounter smoke, turn on your headlights. If you can avoid driving near the fire, that's the best thing. We appreciate any hunters that did get out of the area to allow firefighting operations to commence safely.
The cause of the fire is under investigation. Tomorrow, St. Louis Sheriff Alfred Montgomery will exit federal custody and sit in court to determine if he should lose his job permanently.
The Quo Warranto accuses Montgomery of having the deputy commissioner of the jail illegally detained, refusing his duty to transport detainees in need of medical care, and having deputies transport his children to and from school. He also faces a new count, with Attorney General Catherine Hanaway arguing his federal detention is grounds for permanent removal.
Just says he can't do his job if he's sitting in a jail cell hundreds of miles away. And so we think that that is
the development that kind of moved the judge to make his status as sheriff temporary, and we hope that after the trial it'll be permanent.
The final count against Montgomery argues he abused the finances of the department, sending it way over budget. If Montgomery is found guilty on at least one of those 5 counts, he will be removed from office. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
A final vote may be handed down tomorrow, Tuesday, to replace St. Louis County's purchasing code.
The bill itself, in my opinion, is a mess the way it's written.
Republican Councilman Mark Harder believes St. Louis County's purchasing code should include minorities and women-owned businesses, but says the proposed bill is filled with contradictions.
If the intent was to give a leg up to WMB type of businesses, there's other languages in there that make it difficult.
Harder says the proposed bidding process would hurt the county.
If it's implemented, the overall effect would be a higher prices for everything that the county buys.
Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
After crediting the $150 million renovation of Enterprise Center with helping to get multiple major sporting events, the St. Louis Sports Commission is seeking more public funding. President Mark Schreiber says other cities St. Louis competes with for these events are more aggressive.
It's going to take City Hall, Board of Aldermen, on and on and on, even St. Louis County to get behind this.
He credits the Enterprise Center renovations withdrawing the U.S. Figure Skating Championship and the Frozen Four. The first 2 rounds of the March Madness tournament will be played in St. Louis next year as well. Forecast from Dave Murray. We've got rain moving into the area. A few rumbles of thunder overnight, low 48. For tomorrow, sunshine could start off with an early shower, but otherwise sunny and warm with a high of 70. Tomorrow night, 47. For Wednesday, clouds, high 61. Right now, we've got 55 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Back at us, we are into hour number 2 of the program. Again, if you'd like to chime in, you can do so by calling or texting 314-436-7900. 314-436-7900. Tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, or you can leave a comment on the chat on the video stream, and we will get to that coming up this hour. A lot of Blues talk this hour. We are going to hear from Mike Meyer. He covers the Blues for STL Sports Central. He's going to join us in about 10 minutes or so, and then later on this hour, we'll hear a little bit from Jim Montgomery. He met with the media. Kyle Sixt, our producer tonight, and Kyle, I'm not one who really wants to talk about myself all that often, but I also try to kind of share what's going on sometimes in my personal life with people who listen to this show on an every night basis. And I had tweeted out about I told a story about something that kind of cool happened during a hospital stay that I had recently, and then a lot of people took that to check in on me and see how I was doing and give me well wishes. So I just wanted to very quickly, and I'm sure there's some people listening who could not care less about this, and I understand where you are coming from, but wanted to give just a quick update on what actually happened last week. It was really cool, by the way, the folks that filled in with Nate Gatter in for a couple days and Kevin in, and for Rennie Knott, he was in on Friday, and how awesome is that that we get to have Rennie Knott hosting Sports Open Line on Friday night. And man, I don't know him like at all. I got his phone number, and I was able to text him. Thank you for being for hosting last week. But I'm such a fan of his and the work that he has done here in St. Louis for a really, really long period of time. And he's obviously in a transition in his career right now, and just really happy that he's kind of part of the KMOX team right now, where we were able to bring him in and have him fill in as a host of Sports Open Line, which is awesome. But I was out last week. If you've listened to me very often, you know that I tend to actually lose my voice a time or two a year. I had an issue going on in my nasal passages, and it had to be fixed surgically. It was going to be a very, very easy surgery. It was under anesthesia, but it was going to be a 20-minute deal, no big deal, super easy. Everything was going to be fine. And I did that on Tuesday morning in a surgery center. And then I was scheduled to be out for the rest of the week last week, as I just kind of went through a recovery, which wasn't supposed to be a really bad recovery, but it was enough to keep me for a few days. Things did not go as planned with the surgery. Unfortunately, I got done with the surgery and I went home and everything seemed to be all right. But I'm a hemophiliac. I have hemophilia, and I do things to make sure that my blood clots in these type of situations, but it doesn't always work. And unfortunately, this is one of those situations where it did not work. And about 3 hours after the surgery was over, the clotting that was taking place basically couldn't go anymore, and the blood just started coming out of me, out of my nose specifically. Went back to the surgeon. They worked on me for hours trying to get it to stop. They could not, and at that point, they had to call an ambulance. The ambulance came and got me. When they got me in the ambulance, my blood pressure spiked to 200 over 110, which is very unsafe. And they did lights and sirens and the whole thing. And they got me to the hospital, where a lot of stuff happened that was kind of scary as they were trying to get the blood to stop. And I had issues with my breathing. I had issues with blood pressure. And I ended up spending 3 days in the hospital before eventually getting released just a couple days ago. Still a little bit weak, still not feeling great. I can hear it in my voice right now that I'm just not there, even cognitively. As I've gone through the show, there's been a few times where I've been looking for words and I haven't been able to find them. I don't know how obvious that's been to people listening, but I have noticed it. So not 100% all the way back, but I'm here, and I appreciate everybody who sent well wishes on. Kyle, it was bluntly, it was a really kind of scary situation for me over a couple days.
Well, Matt, it's great to have you back. That's so scary. Everyone was thinking of you, and it's just good to have you back, and I'm glad you're all right.
I am glad that I'm all right as well, and we'll move forward from here. So just wanted to share kind of where I was at on that. Again, heard from so many people, and I really did appreciate that. Something it was really funny today. I was on with Chris and Amy earlier today, and we mentioned that for just a split second. And Amy had the line of the morning when talking about the Blues and all the losses. She said, much like with me, the thing that me and the Blues have in common right now is you have to stop the bleeding. And that is very true, because, man, it's just not good for the Blues right now. They keep losing and losing and losing. And yeah, they've got some overtime and shootout losses here recently, but it's a lot of losses. And they've got the second fewest points in the NHL. Look, there were I have been on the train that the Blues are much better than what the results are showing. And anytime I say that, I get immediate pushback from people saying they're not better than this, that they're not a good team. And I thought it was funny because Jeremy Rutherford, who does a fantastic job covering the Blues for The Athletic, he recently wrote basically a column that I think the headline, the Blues just aren't a good team. And the more I'm watching them, the more I'm starting to come around on that. Like, for all of you out there who pushed back on me when I was saying that that this team is better than the way they're playing right now, maybe the team isn't. And this next 5 games will be interesting because it's a good road trip. There's a lot of talk about the team coming together on one of these longer type road trips. Maybe that happens. Maybe it doesn't. We've certainly seen the Blues have the second half resurrections. That's something that they do. But right now, this group of individuals, and I still think there's a lot of talent there. I still think it is a talented group. But right now, as a team, they are just not very good. And it frustrates me to no end when, after all of these bad losses, you get somebody else talking about the lack of effort. And they use different words. They use different words when they talk about it. It was Justin Falk who most recently, after the last game, used the word autopilot. And Jim Montgomery pushed back on that. He said they weren't on autopilot, but they were kind of flat. I think it was in Jeremy Rutherford's column that says, what's really the difference? Autopilot, flat, like whatever. It's all kind of the same. And we've talked about a lack of desperation, and they've talked about a lack of desperation and the energy and the effort and all of those different things that have been going on. Yeah, I don't have a lot more to say. It's at a point now where they've got to start to show out. And you know what? Playing better and not getting the result, that's not going to do it for me right now. The result, we're at a point now where the results have to come. You know, we spent some time earlier this year talking about it starting to trend in a better direction, and they weren't winning some of those games, but they were playing better. And then you tossed in a win in that. I think it was that period where they played Vancouver and Columbus, lost in a shootout, lost 3-2, and then won that game against Edmonton. And that felt like a clear upward trajectory. And then they laid an egg against Washington. You know, so that's where this team is at right now. It's got to be more about the result and not just about the process and playing better and all of that. Those things are important, but they have to lead to results at some point in time. We'll talk more about the Blues. We'll talk with Mike Meyer. He covers the Blues for STL Sports Central. He joins us next, and then we'll hear from Jim Montgomery after that. Don't go anywhere. You're locked into a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Woke radical liberals are screwing up this country, but Congressman Jason Smith is fighting back. He backed one big, beautiful tax cut for working families, ending Social Security taxes for nearly all seniors, and taxes on tips and overtime gone. So call Congressman Jason Smith at 202-225-4404 and thank him for backing working family tax cuts and putting America first. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
All right, you pick them. You don't have to take my word for it. Lots of 5-star reviews out there for my friends at Rhino Shield, because like me, there are a lot of satisfied Rhino Shield customers. And what does that mean? Well, maybe you're satisfied because it's exactly the color and beautiful, vivid color that you wanted, right? With the trim and all of that, they could do in different colors, just like you would with regular paint, but it lasts for so long. Maybe you're happy because you're not out there scraping or having to pay somebody to scrape and paint every 4 or 5 years. That's what happens with regular paint. Not Rhino Shield. Goes on thick, waterproofs your house completely, protects it from the rays of the sun, gives you an insulation factor. It's fantastic. They've used it on HGTV on unpainted brick, block, aluminum, steel, hardy cement board. It's fantastic on all of it. Call them today for a free evaluation, 877-25-RHINO. or 877-25rhino.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
It's the biggest savings event of the year. Menards. 11% rebate ends Thanksgiving Day. Save big money on everything you need for any project. We've got something for everyone. Homeowners, contractors, DIYers, the kids, and even grandma. Hurry, Menards 11% rebate ends Thanksgiving Day.
Save big money at Menards.
11% mail-in rebate is a merchandise credit check. Good on future in-store purchases. See menards.com for details.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
At Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, every moment with our patients is a gift. Thanks to supporters like you, children have hope as they fight serious illness and reach incredible milestones. Please donate today at treeofhope.org.
Working full-time but still falling behind? Learn how real estate education can help you build income and get ahead on your terms. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Hello, I'm John Rooney. Congratulations to KMOX on 100 years strong, truly making KMOX the voice of St. Louis.
The Gray Bar Sports Open Line continues here on KMOX. Coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we'll play back some of what Blues coach Jim Montgomery had to say today as the team is set to go on a 5-game road trip. We'll talk about them a little bit right now as we're very happy to welcome on to the program. Covers the Blues for STL Sports Central. He is Mike Meyer. You follow him on Twitter at M_Meyer3. Mike, thanks for taking the time. Welcome back on to KMOX.
Matt, always thanks so much here for having me. Glad you're able to hear that you're up and healthy.
Yeah, appreciate the nice words from you. It was a harrowing few days, but back working today, which is certainly a very good thing. Unfortunately, the Blues are not finding much traction at this point, and they're coming off back-to-back losses, kind of a no-show loss against Vegas, and then a game where they blew 2 separate 2-goal leads against Philadelphia. What in the world do you make of what's happening right now with this team?
This team is an absolute enigma because, you know, they have good periods, good showings where you think maybe this is where they're going to turn it around, but it's sometimes where it's a lack of confidence. It's sometimes where you look at there's this fragile mentality, almost this very similar situation with Logan Mailloux, where he is playing to just play perfectly and not make a mistake. That's almost at times what this Blue squad is seemingly trying to do, is that they're just trying to just play mistake-free hockey instead of just trying to play their confident game, just for the play with their swagger. And so this is a team that is just dying for something positive to be able to just break their way.
What leads to that? Why can't they play loose? Why are they gripping that stick a little bit hard and trying to play the perfect game, when I think anybody who's been around this game realizes that that's not the way to be successful?
Yeah, and that's a question that's inside of this locker room here right now, that they need to face themselves here in the mirror, that they need to, you know, and I guess it's a good thing that they're going here on this road trip, because they need to be able to really hold each other accountable here right now and just say, you know, boys, we're going to play here with one another. This is absolutely a team who should be fighting for each other and should have been doing this here from the very beginning. And I don't know if it's a matter of, you know, that they're just trying to just play here for the stat sheet, or they're just looking, again, just unfortunately just grip the sticks here a little bit too tight, and just try to be able to get the clock or the wind down just so they can really get something breaking their way. But yeah, that's a wonderful question that unfortunately is just one that the Blues need to continue to ask themselves.
I appreciate honesty and candor, and we get that a lot from these guys. Like they don't run away from answering questions after games, but unfortunately, a lot of the answers that we've gotten lately is an answer where they're not playing with desperation, where they're not, where they're, you know, where they're flat, where all these different type of words basically to say that they're not playing with excitement and they're not playing with energy and all these things. How does that, is that something where a few things have to go right for you and it comes back, or is that something that can be generated by the team?
I think that is where you're kind of missing that spark plug in your lineup. You know, and I hate to go back to this consistency here, like of referencing the 2019 team, but you know, even since then, you know, you've had guys again like a Patrick Maroon who was in your lineup, who was ready to just be able to go to bat here for you, a guy who was willing to crack a joke, even going back to the days that Steve Ott here was playing with them. You know, this was a guy who was not afraid to do whatever it took to be able to help make the guys laugh here a little bit. But unfortunately, sometimes it's just where, you know, these guys just need something. Like they need that spark plug that's in the lineup. And right now, I think the biggest spark plug that you're missing here is a Jake Neighbors. And hopefully he's going to be coming back here soon. But That's just, they're just seem like that they're just missing that identity, that spark plug here again that they just need.
Yeah, Monty said today that Neighbors is going on the trip. He's probably not a player tomorrow, but he's a player at some point. He had arguably the best start of any forward on the roster through, I think he played 8 games and scored 6 goals, if I have that number correct in my head. That's obviously a boost for this team, but Jake Neighbors alone doesn't fix all the issues that this team has.
No, not one bit. And this is where you need to be able to lean here on your veterans. You need to lean here on these experienced players. And, October here aside, that was a horrible, horrible month. The Blues here right now, through halfway here through November, Justin Falk's leading this team here in goals. And I think that's the alarming thing. You've got he and Thomas are tied here for 6. Holloway, Snuggerud, Fowler, and I believe Sundqvist are also tied here for 4. But the alarming thing here is that you've got Schenn, Buchnevich, and even Parayko with 1 point apiece. And so this is where, you're going to need your veterans to really just be able to step up. And like you said, it's going to be more than just a Jake Neighbors, but sometimes you just need that type of a player's energy. You look back at like what Kide Oshie did for his style of play, and what kind of mentality and energy and just ability that he was able to play with. And I think that's something similar that what a Jake Neighbors can be able to bring here to this lineup. And hopefully it's going to be just enough where he can mix and match the lineups here just a smidge bit more and just be able to get some sort of offense and some different play styles here, just mixing and matching with those lineups.
Fair or not fair, every time the Blues just play this kind of way and they don't show that energy that you want to see, it all comes back to the faces of the franchise, the top roster guys, the guys who are getting paid the most amount of money, and that's Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas. Can the Blues be a very successful team with those guys being your best players?
I think it's fair that these are your top paid players here for a reason. That these guys are the ones who are expected to play and expected here to produce. Unfortunately, Jordan Kyrou has been that guy who's been just used as that scapegoat. There's other players who are in the lineup who are also paid pretty darn similarly, who don't seem to be getting as much of a harsh criticism here towards them. And they need to be able to look here at potentially mixing and matching roles, identities, reduce and increase ice time, whatever that it may end up needing to be. But, these guys are paid here to be your top players for a reason. And when they're not producing, it's making those bottom 6 players feel that they need to be the ones who are producing. And when these guys may not be goal scorers, they're now the ones who are expected to be able to score the goals. A Jimmy Snuggerud, who is, a young kid, he's a rookie and he's near the top here of your lineup. And now all of a sudden you're expecting a Jimmy Snuggerud, a Dalibor Dvorsky to be the savior of this team. That's not fair. It should absolutely be the faces of the franchise. And it starts here with number 10, Braden Shen.
You're right. It's not fair, but at least the one positive we can say is it's been fun watching both Snuggerud and Dvorsky. Those two guys have done, for the most part, a nice job.
Those two are going to be electric for this team here for years to come. I'm loving what we're seeing here with Jimmy Snuggerud and Robert Thomas here with that dynamite connection. I'll even look here at the Jordan Kyrou, Dylan Holloway connection, and then what Dalibor Dvorsky's been able to do, maybe not even just, offensively, but what he's been able to show here defensively and on the face-off dot. You're seeing a lot of really good signs from a young player who had some questions about him of whether or not he could become a successful NHL center. And maybe he was going to be a better player here at the wing at the NHL level. And so far, so good. He's showing those signs that he can be responsible here in both sides.
Mike Meyer covers the Blues for STL Sports Central, both writing and does post-game shows, all kinds of stuff, does a great job. You can always, and he gets some prospect stuff as well, which we have not really talked to him about that on this show. Maybe we will at some point in the future. Follow him on Twitter at M_Meyer3. Mike, always appreciate you taking the time. We'll do this again real soon.
Guys, I appreciate it. Have a great night.
All right, very good. That's Mike Meyer joining us here on the show again at STL Sports Central, where he does a fantastic job covering the Blues. Blues get back at it tomorrow. They're going to match up against Craig Berube and the Toronto Maple Leafs tomorrow evening. And in fact, Jim Montgomery, he talked a little bit about his thoughts on Chief and his time working for him in St. Louis, and just all those thoughts and all those memories come up when these two teams play against each other. So we will hear from Jim Montgomery. We'll play back some of what he had to say earlier today. That's up next. This is a Graybar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell and Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell and Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Hey, this is Charlie Brennan. Have you noticed loose bricks or missing mortar around your house, on the walls, the patios, the walkways, the porch, or the chimneys? If so, you need to call Morelli Tuck Pointing. 314-645-1387. You might need one of two things: solid tuck pointing, the removal of old mortar with the replacement of new mortar throughout an entire wall or chimney, or maybe just spot tuck pointing. Spot tuck pointing involves the tuck pointing of a particular wall, a chimney, or other masonry surface in an area where it's needed the most. One example might be settlement cracks, usually found above or below windows or doorways. 314-645-1387. Call the company that the Brennans have called when we've needed tuck pointing. Morelli Tuck Pointing, the masonry specialists. Winner of the Angie's List Super Service Award every year since 2005. 314-645-1387, MorelliTuckPointing.com.
I'm Dr. Colleen Bosler with the Audiology Center, and I'm talking with my associate, Dr. Adam Voss. What happens to a person's brain when they ignore their hearing loss?
There is such a strong connection between the ear and the brain. Ignoring your hearing loss can cause the brain to become lazy and the speech areas in the brain to shrink. This is partially why you can hear the words, but you cannot understand them. If a hearing loss goes untreated for too long, it may cause an irreversible change in the brain. It is incredibly important to have your hearing screened at 60 or older, or sooner if you're noticing difficulty. And the sooner someone treats their hearing loss, the better and quicker their brain will adapt to hearing sound again. Studies show that those who get hearing aids, even with a mild hearing loss, are much more successful hearing aid users as compared to those that wait longer.
So call us today to get your comprehensive hearing evaluation with one of our doctors, 636-441-7470, or visit us online, theaudiologycenterstl.com.
Get ready for Thursday Night Football as the Bills face the Texans.
Sankman Cancer Center game time 6:30. Sankman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer.
The Bills, the Texans, on America's Sports Voice, 104.1 FM KMOX.
This is the Graybar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. Got you for just a little while longer. We are taking you till 8 o'clock this evening, and then we are going to have a Gas House Gang replay from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock tonight here on KMOX. Also, another reminder for you, something we are all looking forward to. Coming up on Thursday, it is our KMOX 100-year anniversary special, and what that means is basically all day long, it's going to be dignitaries, KMOX alums, stories, just all kinds of amazing stuff. I've gotten just a little bit of a peek of what's going on. I don't think I even have a taste of what all is going to be taking place, but that's going to be starting first thing in the morning on Thursday and going all the way until 6:30 when we get done for Thursday Night Football. So I would encourage you to be locked in to KMOX all day long on Thursday, because it absolutely is going to be worth it. It's going to be a very special and very cool day. The Blues get back at it coming up tomorrow night. They are going to return to action as they are set to match up against Toronto. This is going to open up an extended road trip for the Blues, something they really haven't done this year. It's a 5-gamer where they're going to play the Maple Leafs, the Flyers, the Islanders, the Rangers, and the Devils, and they are not scheduled to be home again until a game on Friday, November 28th, so it's going to be a little while. Blues coach Jim Montgomery met with the media earlier today after they went through practice, and one of the things that was evident as practice went on was there was a lot more communication, stopping and talking through things, all of that, and Montgomery did say that trying to talk more in practice absolutely was a goal for today.
Point of emphasis has been we need to communicate more. If there's any doubt in their minds, we got to eliminate any doubt. I hate having any gray area, and lately it's been looking like there's been a lot of gray area to our game.
And specifically to today's practice, one of the points of emphasis that they had on everybody was really using the feet and using the lower body more, especially from a defensive standpoint, and just a way to help keep their opposition out of better scoring chances.
We just talked about using our feet, like defensively, checking more. Take away time and space with your feet. It's your number one asset when you're checking.
The Blues have been playing for a while without Jake Neighbors. He arguably had the best start to the season of any forward on the team before he ended up getting injured. Well, it sounds like he is going to be back very, very soon. Maybe not tomorrow, but very, very soon, as Montgomery did give an update on Neighbors' health status.
He is going on the trip. We expect him to be a player at some point on the trip. So
is that looking?
It's not tomorrow night.
Yeah. Is he way ahead of schedule or just a little ahead of schedule?
I think if he's ahead of schedule, it's like 3 days. I think I don't know when the 4 week. It was minimum 4 weeks. We thought maximum 5. He's going to be in that 4 to 5 week span.
And I mentioned the numbers that Neighbors has put up so far this year. Appearing in 8 games, he has scored 6 goals with 7 points, and he's skating for about 15 minutes per game. So somebody who's really had a big impact, again, in those games that he played before he ended up getting injured. And Montgomery spent some time talking through just what Neighbors is going to be able to bring this team once he does return.
I mean, the depth of a player like him that adds to your, top 6 forwards, you can't, put enough on it. We saw the impact Thomas had the first game back against Edmonton. He's just going to make us deeper and better.
Mentioned the road trip coming up, and it's a long one. Again, a 5-game road trip where the team is going to be out for over a week. And that can be tough on a team, but sometimes when things are not going well, that can actually be good on a team. And Montgomery said this road trip is absolutely a good chance for the team to more fully come together.
It's a tremendous opportunity, not only to gel, but we haven't had more than 2-game road trip yet. This is a real road trip in the NHL where we go to some not only legendary teams, but places you want to play. Toronto, Philly, New York, New Jersey. So it's exciting because we get to spend some time together. We're going to have meals together, and we're going to roll up our sleeves and go to work together.
Obviously, at this point, you're just looking for things that you can almost turn into positives, because it's not good for the Blues right now. They've got 16 points. That's tied for the second fewest points across the entire NHL. And Montgomery spent some time today talking about how he coaches. And sometimes you go hard, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you try to go at guys, and sometimes you try to lift guys back up, right? That's the art of coaching, and it's true all the time. But Montgomery went through a little bit on how his approach to coaching and choosing picking and choosing the spots and how he is going to be in those different spots to try to best help the team.
To be honest, you got to balance it all the time as a coach. When do you push? When do you pull back? I think when things are going hard like they are right now, you push in a quiet tone. You can be harder with your tone and more demanding in your tone when your team's on a roll, because they're feeling good about themselves. They don't care what you're saying and how you're saying it. But when the confidence is low, your tone, you have to be aware of it as a coach.
And he also specifically was asked about how he goes about coaching up Pavel Buchnevich, because Buchnevich, there's been a lot of guys who have struggled this year, but it's hard to look past Buchnevich, who in 19 games has 2 goals and 7 points, just has not been very good. And I thought this was interesting in what Montgomery had to say about the way he goes and approaches Buchnevich, really one way inside of a game and another way when they're going through practice.
I think in game, you can be very firm with them and there's going to be some bite back, but that's the way he's wired. He's really fiery in games. In practice, he's more, he competes hard in the drills he likes, but there's more of a subdued tone, and you can talk to him more and reason with him more, and he'll give you more feedback that helps the team as well, like in practice or in the locker room. And he loves to laugh. Like, you talk about funny stuff, and he's got a tremendous sense of humor.
Tomorrow's game against Toronto is going to be a milestone game, as Justin Falk is going to play in the 1,000th game of his career. Certainly something that's not easy to get to. And Montgomery shared his thoughts on Falk and who he is as a player and how much appreciation he has for him, a guy who has been in this league for a long time.
A physical specimen in the sense that he's just so powerful and athletic. He skates great. He shoots great. Wins one-on-one battles all over the ice. And he's someone that has tremendous impact in the game. He's played since he's 19 in the NHL, and he's been a big part of what Carolina did, and he's been a big part of the success the Blues have had while he's been here.
And then finally, anytime the Blues do match up against Toronto, it's an opportunity to match up against their former head coach in Craig Berube. Montgomery was an assistant for Berube, and when thinking about just the time that the two spent together, he really has a lot of appreciation for it.
Really, it puts a smile on my face because I really enjoyed my time with Chief. Not only did I learn a bunch from him, I learned how to handle players from him. I learned how calm he was, like when times got real tense. And then just, the way he treated people. Everyone loved being around Chief, because he was the same person, whether you were a president of the United States or whether you drove the Zamboni. He treated everybody the same. And that's a genuine person. That's the word that comes to mind the most. A genuine, fun-loving dude.
That is Blues coach Jim Montgomery. Again, the Blues back at tomorrow. They're opening up a 5-game Eastern road trip. They'll play in Toronto tomorrow night. That's going to be a 6 o'clock puck drop, and then they'll head to Philadelphia on Thursday. They'll also play the Islanders, Rangers, and Devils before eventually coming back home. We'll take one more break. We'll come back, and we'll wrap up this edition of the program. It's a Graybar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
You could think you found your dream home online. The kitchen island looks perfect for your inner chef. The backyard, a paradise for your green thumb. And that extra room, hello walk-in closet. But here's the twist. The lot next door just got rezoned for years of construction. And this sound, yeah, you're going to be hearing a lot of that. Don't let your dream home turn into a nightmare. Work with the expertise and ethical training of a Realtor, here to guide and help protect you from the surprises you didn't see coming. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors, right by you.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on.
And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Show, Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Are you tired of online threats? Then get an antivirus. It's the only online protection you will ever need.
Disclaimer, an antivirus is just half protection online. It will not protect you from snoopers or encrypt your online traffic. So this Black Friday, get better online protection with NordVPN. NordVPN will encrypt your traffic, protect you from malware and phishing, and stop annoying ads. Get the NordVPN Black Friday deal with 73% off and enjoy 3 extra months.
Hey, just check the mail. We've been invited to a seminar and dinner is free.
It's going to be chicken, and it'll taste like Play-Doh.
Don't be fooled. All seminars are not the same. For example, Steve All, an investment advisor representative and founder of the All Financial Group, is hosting a taxes and retirement seminar at his office in Chesterfield on December 10th. Come meet Steve's newest advisor, Tracy Richardson, as she discusses the big beautiful bill, taxes on your Social Security, and more. Tracy will not only cover the hurdles you can face in retirement, but ways to keep more money in your pocket and less in Uncle Sam's. This is a complimentary event, but seating is limited, so reserve your seat today. Call 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
You know, hon, I've always been interested in us buying a timeshare.
I'd rather eat Play-Doh.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
What if you had a plan to build income outside your job? At Lifestyles Unlimited, you'll learn how people are investing in real estate to grow their income and make smarter financial choices one property at a time. Right now, join us for just $297. That's a savings of $443 off our real estate education program. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
This is Megan Lynch. 250 doctors go to Ophthalmology Associates. That's why I trust them. Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
Purina presents A Century of Service.
This is KMOX Radio.
KMOX is celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining St. Louis. On November 20th, KMOX Day, we will celebrate the KMOX pioneers.
This is Jim White for your information.
Legendary voices.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Groundbreaking programming.
KMOX Radio. We're at your service.
And unforgettable moments that have defined a century of broadcasting.
We did locate Ben this afternoon, and we've also located Sean Hornbeck.
Hear from current and former KMOX personalities who have helped make this station the preeminent news, information, and sports brand in America. A century of service, celebrating 100 years of KMOX, is presented by Purina, your pet, our passion, on the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Welcome back to the Graybar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Starting to wrap things up on a Graybar Sports Open Line right here on at KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. Coming up when I get done, just after the 8 o'clock news, we are going to have a replay of today's Gas House Gang, so you certainly will want to stay tuned for that. Wanted to mention this real quick before we get out of here. It was reported over the weekend or maybe late last week that members of Congress sent a letter to Major League Baseball and their commissioner, Rob Manfred, expressing concern. And I read from an ESPN.com article, expressing a concern over a, quote, new integrity crisis, unquote, that is facing American sports. They also wanted answers about the recent situation involving Cleveland Guardians pitchers Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz. And we don't need to relitigate that here at the moment. I think most people listening understand that what they are being accused of, where they were specifically basically throwing balls in certain, like, ball versus strike, like a first pitch ball in a batter in an inning, And allegedly they were giving that information to bettors who were then betting on those single pitches. And that's what, and then there was some, betting, some betting that just did not seem quite right. And it was flagged and eventually an investigation. And now those two guys are each under indictment, which actually challenges things for Major League Baseball. Ken Rosenthal had previously reported that Major League Baseball would like to discipline Ortiz and Clase by the time you get to spring training as a way to avoid them getting paid any money. Because once they were placed on whatever the list is called this past year, when they were not allowed to play anymore, they were still paid their full salaries for 2025. Clase got about $4.5 million, and Ortiz made just under $800,000 this past year. Clase is going to get about $6 million this upcoming season. Ortiz, as a pre-arbitration player, was probably going to get about $800,000, but Major League Baseball is hopeful that they are not going to see that money, that they are going to have some type of penalty handed down. What that penalty is, it's going to be a lifetime ban. That's the rule in Major League Baseball. Betting on baseball, anything that goes along with it, it's a lifetime ban. So I think barring, and they're both proclaiming their innocence, and we live in a country where we are innocent until proven guilty. So there is going to be, at least from a legal standpoint, there is going to be a requirement of finding those guys guilty, and we'll see what happens with baseball when it comes to their investigation. But that's where this all kind of gets muddled, because sometimes when there are government investigations going on, and I think it's going to be hard for Major League Baseball to hand down any type of penalty if the federal investigation is still going on, or if Major League Baseball was the only entity that was publicly investigating them, well, then at that point, it's a whole lot easier to hand down some type of penalty. Here's where I get frustrated. And there are members of our government, elected officials, who understand sports, who know sports, who are sports fans. I would assume many of them listen to this station and this show. I know I have political members of political parties, or people who work in political spaces that follow me on social media. So this is not an across the board thing, but I always shriek a little bit when politicians start to get involved with sports, because there tends to be, when you get a lot of politicians together at the same time, there tends to be a misunderstanding. Is that a good word? A complete misunderstanding of what's actually happening. And that's what caught my that's what I really caught on this letter that was sent. So again, I'm not trying to get overly political here. That's not the point here. But it is the Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation, which evidently oversee professional sports. Senators Ted Cruz and Marcia Cantwell, who lead the committee, sent the letter to Major League Baseball wanting details about the new integrity crisis. Here is where I know that I read from the letter and I go, oh my goodness, this is not something that these people should be involved in. So they bring up the case of Tucupita Marcano. And if you remember him, he was a member of the San Diego Padres. And he was banned for life for baseball. He was banned from baseball for life. Yeah, he was banned for life in baseball because he placed bets on baseball. He placed 387 total bets on baseball back in 2022, and he bet over $150,000. So he placed 387 bets. That's pretty easy to find. That is when an individual is betting on baseball, like literally placing bets on the game of baseball, especially with all the sports books now being, basically affiliated with Major League Baseball somehow, some way. It's really easy. It's really easy to figure that out and ban somebody for life. So the letter to Major League Baseball and Commissioner Rob Manfred reads, how did Major League Baseball catch Marcano and ban him for life, but failed to notice Clase allegedly rigging pitches for 2 years? The integrity of the game is paramount. Major League Baseball has every interest in ensuring baseball is free from influence and manipulation. But in light of these recent developments, Major League Baseball must clearly demonstrate how it is meeting its responsible to safeguard America's pastime, unquote. It is ridiculous to compare somebody who went out and placed 387 bets on baseball and compare them to somebody who every once in a while was throwing ball one and giving that information to bettors. Like, both are really bad. I'm not saying one's worse than the other, but I am saying that one is a whole lot easier to catch than the other. So for this letter and for these individuals in Congress to connect the two and say, well, how'd you catch Marcano so easily? How you banned him for life? You did that just like that. And now everything else is taking so long with Clase and Ortiz. Like, that is ridiculous that they would say that. And it just continues to show an absolute lack of understanding in what happens in sports sometimes when politicians and when the government gets involved. And on this one here, I would just prefer, with all due respect to everybody who is a sitting member of the United States Senate, I would just prefer that they sit this one out and allow the law authorities federally that are investigating this, and allow Major League Baseball investigators to get into this, and they don't have to take a seat at the table, because just that one single paragraph in that letter completely and totally proves to me that these people have no clue what they're talking about and have no understanding if they are connecting, if they're saying that you should be able to catch a guy who's actually placing bets on baseball and a guy who is occasionally throwing ball one. To say that those two should be just as easily caught, again, lack of understanding of everything going on. All right, that is it for the program tonight. Thank you so much for being tuned in, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow for Rush Hour Sports at 5 o'clock, Sports Open Line at 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Up next, it's a replay of Gas House Gang. That's in just a moment right here on KMOX.
This year, we're celebrating a century of St. Louis radio history, 100 years of KMOX.